Ahoy, landlubbers! It's me, your Captain Vasco speaking, and welcome to another Saturday evening. This time we're playing Lamplight City like we've been doing recently. I don't know why I say this time as though it will suddenly be new. Yeah, the case that we started last week, I feel like it's going to be a little bit of a trick to try and recap it. I might rely a little bit on the case book. See, the problem is that so far this case, and while I want to say up front that I like how it's been written so far, but the leads that we were given to start with sort of have us doing a lot and learning very little. But like I feel like there's something kind of honest about that in that investigations aren't always about like having a solid lead on like murder weapon or suspect or whatever right away. And we are investigating murder this time around. We had a kidnapping case and I don't know, the flower robbery. There's been some weird stuff, but this time we are investigating a proper murder on steampunk election night. Uh, when the Redditors managed to overwhelm the polls and stop the flow of progress, which was moving towards more aethericity powered steampunk technology. One man's fate was sealed. He seemed to be followed by a suspicious figure dressed in black who had like been stalking him from his place of work at a taxidermy office. And when that guy went to his name is something super weird. It's like something Lespay. I don't remember his first name. I remember that when I was filling it in the tags for the last episode, I was like, "That's his name." I forgot that. Mostly refer to him as Lespay, and it seems like a weird name. But I think he was simply going to his polling place to vote, and his polling place turned out to be a rowdy bar, and he was murdered outside. I don't actually know if we know for sure whether he was murdered before or after he voted. I feel like it's implied it was after. It seems pretty wild that you would target a single person to stop them from voting, so I don't think that's what's going on, despite the unusual circumstances and timing of the murder. We did investigate a little bit of his personal history, poking around in his apartment, and found that he'd been carrying on a relationship with a man named Jimbo, who was a sailor, but they had sort of fallen out in recent months and stopped speaking. And I think Jimbo had said that, like, really, he kept so much to himself that he couldn't possibly have any enemies. He doesn't even have, like, many friends. And his sister had said something to the same effect. She's the one who had hired us to investigate the mysterious Lespay's death. And when poking into the fares at the bar, we learned of three regulars. I think the first guy was Darius, who's referred to as a troublemaker. He's a bit of an overindulger in some illicit activities, which he shares with a certain other regular named Tom Puffin, who is like the music director for the local choir and just a bizarre caricature of a Southern man. And there's also Cormac, the Cormac who refers to Cormac in the third person and operates the steampunk sewage treatment facility running under New Britannia, or as I like to refer to it, New York Leans, because it is a city that combines elements of so many parts of like Victorian-era United States that is honestly a little bit difficult to track. And now that I've gone through that, I honestly feel like I remember more about what was going on than I thought I did. But I do have an important question, and it's just there we are. We're back in the window. So I've been sitting here. I let this run as sort of background music for our holding pattern to begin the stream, and there's a little design here in just in the fence around this area. This is actually kind of a weird layout for a church as far as any I've seen. I don't know what the fence around the altar would be called, but do you think that this little image is a man with an unusually shaped head in a suit, or a turtle with a weirdly multicolored shell? This is a question I found myself asking while staring at this and the idle animation of Miles Fordham, our protagonist. Can we get one of those in here? I don't remember how long this takes to trigger. There it is. It's a little bit of a stretch to make sure no one's watching. It's an interesting little quirk. But the thing I don't remember is what leads we have remaining. Because I feel like we had talked to several people, and then we learned about the mysterious figure, and then we talked to basically everyone that I can immediately think of about the mysterious figure. Maybe not the sister, come to think of it. Maybe we can ask the sister about that, but I doubt she knows, or she probably would have mentioned it when she was like, investigate my brother's murder. But like, that was sort of, that led us to the church, and then I don't feel like I got any useful information from Tom. Although, one of the things on my to-do list is to talk to Tom. I don't think I missed anything, but I mean, we were just there. Is there?
You won't be much more help right now.
Okay, the game does have an unusual way of conveying some of these things, because there have been at least one or two other instances in the past where it says something along these lines of like, do a thing that like I've already accomplished, but what it's like, this won't clear until I've accomplished something that maybe isn't available to me now. But like, it's weird that it's like, this is the thing you need to do, and I go and it's like, you cannot do that now. And this was bothering me last week, is it's still telling me to investigate the site of his murder, but there's like nothing to look at around there. I feel like I also talked to Dr. Edwards, so I'm hoping we didn't find some sort of glitched state. But let's go talk to the doctor, because maybe something new has happened, has been uncovered. Hello. Looks like I can talk to him. So there's something. Okay. I don't remember anyone making a direct insinuation that Lespay was an opium user, despite the fact that multiple other people at the bar were confirmed to do so. But I guess we might as well ask about this.
Edwards, you know much about the effects of opium?
Not from personal experience. Don't tell Snelling, my boss.
Quite a great deal, unfortunately. It's all the rage these days.
Uh-oh. Hey, Demolition, how's it going? Saturday to you?
Most people use it to calm the nerves or relieve pain, but it's highly addictive and has numerous adverse effects.
Such as?
It depends, really. Most common are sweating, nausea, memory loss, or blurred vision. But more serious cases can lead to hallucination, violent mood swings, coma, or even death. I just had a case in here a few weeks ago who died from an opium overdose. It wasn't pretty.
Doesn't sound like it. Thanks for the information, Edwards.
Anytime.
I got a clue.
I'll be going now, Edwards.
Take care, Fordham.
Blue the dog would be very pleased. How's it going? We're just getting started. So what? I don't even remember what page clues go on. Clues. It lists all of them, the less severe and the more severe. This doesn't immediately seem helpful. It's not that I don't think this will be helpful, but this doesn't do anything for me right now, and I kind of need something right now. Oh, right, Priscilla! That's what I need to be doing. I think... Who was it who mentioned... I think it was Darius, the guy at the Golden Dragon Club? The, like, secret opium den? I think he was the one who said that, like... around the time of the murder, someone shouted Priscilla, and I imagine that that's not literal. I think he probably misinterpreted something, because that's how mysteries go. But, that's probably what I need to go and ask every person under the sun about. One thing I like about this game that's not, like, significant, but I appreciate it, is that the game sort of, like, builds it. This was, like, more popular in the 90s, but, like, with graphical adventure games of this sort, it was, like, often the case that, like, you would just, like, populate a list of possible, like, questions or conversation subjects that you can ask, like, literally every character in the game, Like, it's just added to, like, an inventory of questions you can ask, even if it doesn't make any sense. And I feel like this game's a little more discerning, which feels appropriate because our character's supposed to be, like, an actual skilled detective. So, like, I appreciate that I couldn't ask the guy at the morgue about Priscilla, because that doesn't make any sense. However, I will go and ask every other person about Priscilla now. I'll start here because the game insists I still need to, like, investigate something here. And after being here multiple times, I'm still not clear on exactly what... Ooh, wait, is this it? I don't remember looking at the drain.
Yesterday's rain has made the water level rise significantly.
It wet. I don't want to go down there. I might get wet.
Is it just me, or does it look like there's something resting at the bottom of the drain?
Well, it's just you because a normal person couldn't see that. Maybe it's your dead ghost powers, Bill, responsible for that, but it looks wet. It just looks wet.
If there is, I have no way of getting to it through the drain cover.
Do I have...
Securely fastened, unfortunately for you. If only there was some way to undo these bolts and remove the drain cover.
See, if they were flathead style, I could use the classic graphical adventure game screwdriver alternative of a single coin. It's one of those things that's so cliche that, like, sometimes people won't even do it, but it shows up in, like, a lot of these types of things. Another popular one is the age-old, there's a key stuck in the keyhole on the wrong side of the door, so you slide a newspaper under the door, and then you poke the key out, and then you slide the newspaper back under. That's, like, essentially the first graphical adventure game puzzle, as far as I'm concerned. Oh, Haggis, welcome to the stream. How's it going? How's everybody's holiday season going? So I need... This game doesn't have a real inventory, so I'm pretty sure I don't have a tool for that. I don't know what I'm looking for. Hi, Angel, welcome. Let's ask about Priscilla, and then maybe steal that large chest knife.
Excuse me, barmaid?
Hi, what do you need?
Priscilla?
Does the name Priscilla mean anything to you?
Nope.
I appreciate you taking the time to chat.
This is like another one of those, like, little adventure game conventions that is funny to me. Like, it's kind of, like, unnatural, but, like, I get it from a video game standpoint, and for, like, I've been conditioned to enjoy it. Is, like, I've been given this new prompt to go and ask everyone about. And, like, I go and, like, talk to the first person I see, and I'm like, hey, Priscilla? And she's like, nope. And I'm like, well, polite end to the conversation to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Reminds me of people looking through keyholes, something I don't feel is even possible. Oh, yeah, no, like, modern keyholes definitely don't work that way. You gotta have, like an old Victorian manor, or something predating that, even, to look through the keyholes. And also, like, isn't that where eavesdropping comes from? Is to, like, listen through a keyhole? Or, like, what specifically is an eave? Like, that's a thing, right? Hi, Sarah, welcome. Welcome to the stream. Everyone's showing up just in time to ask all the characters about Priscilla and look for an unscrewdriver. I feel like I can't remember what it is. I feel like there is... Oh no, Day of the Tentacle has something like this. Day of the Tentacle has, like, two twin brothers who are working on, like, sculpting a statue for, like, their family lineage. And, like, there's like a quirk where, like, one of the twins is left-handed and one of them is right-handed. And if you replace, like, the right-handed hammer with a left-handed hammer, then all of a sudden he can't chisel anymore, and he has, like, an existential crisis, and the two of them have to switch places, and then it accomplishes something. I was sort of reminded of this concept because I was like, I need an unscrewdriver. A screwdriver would put the bolts into the drain, but I need an unscrewdriver to get them out. It's not the same tool. It's a different tool. I feel like I asked Cormac about Priscilla, but I don't remember what he said. Maybe I can ask him about... Oh, maybe I can ask him about getting something out of a drain, though. Hey, Sophisticated, welcome to the stream. How's it going? Good to see you.
Right, I'll make it quick.
is Cormac. Both of the things I thought might happen.
Would you be able to remove the cover of a storm drain?
Yes, of course, sir. Cormac's got the right tool for the job.
I knew Cormac would have the unscrew driver I sought.
Just a few twists from old Mary here, and any drain will open up like a Christmas rose.
I don't actually know what a Christmas rose is. I assume it's a specific breed of flower that I don't know much about, but recently on the Glass Cannon podcast subreddit, someone posted like an image from like an illustrated book that was called Christmas Rose, and said that this is what they thought. There was one time they were trying to remember the name of like a tabletop adventure story, and he's like, what's it called? Like the Christ Child's Eyes? And like everyone was just like more confused. He's like, no, it's like something like that, and so it became this like kind of running joke. And like there's just like this weird illustrated Christmas book, and they're like, this is it. This is what the cover of Christ Child's Eyes would look like.
Would you be able to open the storm drain outside the Silent Raven?
Suppose so, yes. But Cormac ain't allowed to just open up drains as he sees fit.
I feel like you could have mentioned that when I first asked if you could do it. Although there's, as Jurassic Park has taught us, there is a distinction between whether we can and whether we should.
What do you want this drain open for?
Personal reasons. Hang on a second. Just want to shrink this window a little bit so my microphone's not blocking it. Okay, good. Whatever I did last week to fix the dimensions of the box have stuck, so I don't have to fix that again. Oh, okay. I just enjoy sticking my hand into dank puddles. I think he'll appreciate that answer. There's a vital piece of evidence. I mean, I think this guy respects authority, right? I feel like that was one of the takeaways from our previous conversation. Not that he like necessarily likes the police, but that like he just sort of, if something seems like it's above his pay grade, he's like, yeah, I respect that. Sophisticated, I know that you are an aficionado of plants. Are there any special traits of the Christmas rose that might... I appreciate you've cited the scientific name, but I'm too stupid for that to mean anything to me in and of itself. As much as I would love to tell this man that I just like sticking my hand in dang puddles, I think that this is the one that will get me the prize.
I believe there's a vital piece of evidence at the bottom of the drain.
You don't say.
It's quite true. It may even help me solve a murder.
Well then, in that case, Cormac will get the drain open for you. Come on,
Hooray.
There's not a moment to lose.
Thanks, Cormac. You're my good friend, Cormac.
This it then?
That's the one.
Right, won't be a moment.
It didn't make a sound
There we
effect, so
are.
I did one for you.
Thank you for your help, Cormac.
Not a problem. Now, if you don't mind, Cormac's just going to pop inside for a quick pint.
It's possible I should have asked him about Priscilla first, but I was excited about the drain. Now I get to stick my hand in a dang puddle.
Detective work is a dirty job, but someone has to do it. Don't forget to roll up your sleeve.
I'm excited about this dank puddle. If we get a Cormac spinoff, I feel like Cormac would be like a great background character that like persists across cases. Like he kind of lives in his own sub-world. Like he's like part of the Golgari Guild from Ravnica, who like live in the sewers and like live off like fungus and stuff because they're kind of just like weird, like cave dwellers in a world that's like populated by like an urban sprawl.
I really hope there's something down there.
I mean, I would be careful what I wish for, because like there could definitely be something down there that isn't something good. It's a fun animation.
This is almost as bad as the time I had to search for that stolen necklace in a pile of horse manure.
I'm really glad I didn't draw the short straw in that case.
We have interns for that sort of thing. Oh, it's a whole gun.
How about that?
Wish the police had found this so I wouldn't have to carry it around.
I found a whole gun. Can I stick my hand in again for fun?
Nothing else down there but dirty water.
That doesn't answer my question. Can I stick my hand in it for fun?
Nothing else down there.
Fine, Bill. Spoil sport. Okay. I suppose that... Oh, yeah. Didn't the I think the morgue guy, wow, it's not going to be a good word tonight. I think morgue guy said if I brought him a gun, it would be trivially easy for him to match it, even though we're talking about, like, Victorian-era guns, and I don't know that ballistics were as good back then, but, like, we could try. But I want to see if I can talk to Cormac. Oh, I can. Okay. Don't smell my hand. It's sewer water.
Right, we'll make it quick.
It'd be really funny if, similar to how on the last case, I could carry around like a cremated person and like upset passersby. If I could just like find some person and offer a handshake after like sticking my hand in the sewer water and like get a trophy for it.
Do you know anyone named Priscilla?
Ah, that's not a name Cormac knows.
Cormac only knows two names, Cormac and whatever I called me tool.
Frankly, I'm surprised that's not the name of one of his tools.
Thanks for your time. I'll let you get back to your
I
drink.
think it was Mary. Maybe you could have done it again. You told Cormac the truth about your love for sticking your hand in dank puddles. That's true, Sophisticated. But if I had done that, I'm not actually sure I would have been able to put my hand in at all. Like, to be fair, when those types of decisions have come up in this game, I've tried to very carefully choose the correct response, because this is not the type of game that lets you try all of the options in most cases, and we have demonstrated at least one case where if you decide to get cheeky with the game, it's like, alright, now there's information you don't get about the case. So since that point, I've taken it a little more seriously. But because I've done that, I also don't know for certain that the game will actually punish me in, like, most of those instances. I'm just making that assumption because I don't want to get locked out of cases. Let's go turn in this gun. You have a lost and found for murder weapons? I don't have an inventory. I don't know why I had an instinct to do that.
Pardon me, Edwards.
Yes?
Gun.
I found this pistol at the scene of the Lespay crime. Did you take a look and see if it was used to murder him?
It's all slimy. Where was it?
Don't smell the gun. I can't stress this enough. Don't smell the gun.
Sitting at the bottom of a storm drain.
Oh, I suppose that's not as exciting as finding it inside someone's intestines.
I honestly don't know how to compare those two things, other than to say that neither of those sounds good.
Did I ever tell you about that post-mortem, by the way?
Let's say yes and just don't do it.
No, I certainly don't want to hear about it now. How long will it take you to analyze that pistol?
I should have something conclusive within the hour, if you don't mind waiting.
Do I?
No, it'll give me some time to gather my thoughts.
Right. I've concluded my analysis, and this gun was definitely used to shoot Mr. Lespay.
What a pointless interlude.
The bullet I removed from his body is a perfect match.
Thank you, Edwards. That is extremely helpful.
There's one more thing. I cleaned off some of the muck and found the initials JB etched into the handle.
Interesting.
My expertise with guns is purely forensic, so I can't determine if this is the gun's maker or the initials of its owner. That's going to have to be your job.
Thank you, Edwards. Help is always appreciated.
But I don't want to work. I want to bang on the drum all day. Or whatever. Like when I lived
I'll be
outside
going now, Edwards.
the Philly area, the local news every Friday at the end of their like early morning news broadcast would play whatever that song is, whose name I don't know and whose lyrics I only vaguely remember. But they'd like put together like a montage of like random stuff that had happened during the week, and then they would just play that song. I don't want to work. I want to play. I want to bang on the drum all day. And then like the news broadcast would end, and it's weird, but because they did it like every Friday, I still remember that.
Take care, Fordham.
And it's like the only context I've heard that song used in the last like 25 years. So again, I don't know what it's called. Now, I don't think I know a gun maker or gun aficionado. Although, I do know someone whose first name starts with a J. Could it be that Jimbo killed that man? That would be scandalous. I guess I should talk to the sister next. No, maybe I don't think I'll find anything at his apartment. Maybe his coworker would know something about it? Yeah, I seem to remember it being a lot of, like, sports bloopers or, like, things taken from human interest stories. Like, it was kind of like outtakes.
I don't think he'll be...
Yeah, okay, not anything here, but I can do this. That's very normal. Okay. Alright, I got a weird hunch. Wait, why can I go back? What can I do at Upton's apartment when she's at work?
Looks like that umbrella's gotten some good use.
Is there, like, anything I can actually do? Like, I feel like I checked all the, like...
Mostly cookbooks.
I feel like I checked all the hotspots.
Should've listened to...
Why is it possible to come back here? What good would that do me? It won't accomplish anything. It won't do anything. It's the piano passcode again. Me sofa! Me sofa!
Leave him be.
It really has, like, burned all the bridges of every, like, person I could possibly converse with.
She's not gonna be much help right now. That's not to bother her.
It's true, it is me sofa, Ray. Because, like, the clue the parrot gave was something like, Squawk, it's hidden in me sofa, Ray! In me sofa! I see they included the famous Frederick Lyon. Indeed. Like, honestly, to me, I think that's, like, the stream highlight of the year. It's what is, like, your favorite thing that's, like, happened on the stream during the year? Like, that like, both was... It's, like, one of the most fun, like, adventure game discovery moments that I can recall, like, literally ever. And I've played a lot of adventure games. But, like, also was, like, the moment that I was like, this game's got it. Like, this game has got it going on. Just like Stacy's mom. Oh yeah, the NAIX half-body Somnium, that was pretty good. That was the moment I thought that game had potential and hadn't gone off the rails yet. And it, you know, there was some downhill. The donuts in the bathroom's pretty good and definitely confused and upset several people since then. Many people did not like that.
She's not gonna...
Okay, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I found information that should be useful. But all it proves is that a gun that I found that has no connection to any particular person killed him. Which isn't actually useful because I knew he was dead and I knew he was shot. So, like, a gun did it. This gun isn't tied to anyone, so it's not meaningful. It seems relatively unlikely that someone would have their own initials etched into a pistol and then use it to commit a murder, even if they, like, threw it in the dank sewer puddle. But because of the law of, like, narrative investigation, I assume that that happened, or at least that at some point I will be able to find something relevant from the maker of the pistol. It feels like the next thing I should do is talk to some sort of pistol expert, but I definitely don't have such a contact. I guess maybe I can ask his sister if he knew anyone with the initials JB, and then if she says no, or if that's not an option, then I could go talk to Jimbo and ask him what his last name is. And then if he's immediately available as a suspect, then by the law of how this game works, I know he didn't do the crime.
You got time for a few more questions, Mrs. Morgan?
Also, the whole basement thing. Which basement? Which one? Which room?
Yes, of
Oh, sure, I'll ask you about Priscilla. That's not JB,
Did
but
Ronan
sure.
know anyone named Priscilla?
Priscilla? No, I never heard that name before. Who is she?
Just a name that's come up in my investigation.
Oh, the basement in Nice Inst Undige or whatever. I mean, like, I would not fault anyone for considering that puzzle a highlight, but boy, do I consider that to be the opposite of a highlight. That was the literal... So, like, in contrast to how much fun I had with me so far, the deciphering of that puzzle and subsequent stealth section in Somnium Files Nirvana Initiative was like one of the absolute worst puzzles in anything. Even worse than the one in Siberia 3, where they give you practically every possible indication that you're supposed to find, like, a passcode to, like, solve this, like, number pad that you can, like, prominently look at and highlight, but the correct solution is to hit it with a statue. Which is like, you did not set that puzzle up correctly at all. You devoted new assets to misleading me from a more obvious solution.
I wonder if Ronan had finally met a young woman.
Bad news on that front. He met Jimbo?
Oh, boy. Now you've done it.
Those are all the questions I have for now.
I'm glad that I could ruin your day. I'm leaving
All right,
now.
Mr. Fordham.
Yeah, like I said, you know, I don't fault anyone for considering that a highlight. Certainly memorable. I would not say it's good or imply that it's good. All right, let's see if Jimbo's last name is Birderer.
Hello, Jimbo. I have a few more questions for you.
I hope it's literally, what's your last name?
All right, fine.
Nope. Oddly, it's not.
Does the name Priscilla mean anything to you?
Yes, that's my ship, the SS Priscilla.
That's troubling.
I see. Did Ronan know about it?
Of course. He always used to ask me to bring him back some exotic souvenir.
Oh, exotic. Never mind.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
What does that
Miles,
information do for
Have
me?
you ever noticed that this Jimbo fellow fits the description of the man loitering outside the taxidermy shop?
You know, that honestly hadn't literally occurred to me, but the fact that other information ties him to the crime definitely did. Turns out his last name is Bo. People think that it's like shorthand for James, but like, no. It's actually Jim Bo. Jimbo. JB. Jimbo. Just kind of what Sarah was saying
told us
before.
she saw someone matching that description at the Raven on election night. Not only that, Priscilla just so happens to be the name of the ship Jimbo works on. And the pistol used to murder Ronan has the initials JB etched on it.
Well, right, but again, I'm gonna need you to tell me what that last name is, because I do think it's actually unlikely that his last name is Bo.
Could be a coincidence, but I think it's quite reasonable to consider him as a suspect.
This is interesting. Because, like, that's... Like, those details seem less of... In the previous cases in this game, when you confirm a suspect, it basically means that you have enough evidence to, like, tie them to the crime that you can go and tell Upton, your contact with the police, that you think you've solved the case. It doesn't necessarily mean that they did it, but it means that there's enough that you could plausibly argue that they were responsible for it. And, like, historically, just by the nature of investigation, like, the first lead you find, because you can immediately, like, end the case by going and talking to her, the first lead you find, like, isn't a good lead. That's not the worst lead that we've seen so far, but it's not strong enough for me to want to go and end the case. But, like, I agree that, like, he is definitely a person of interest in this case. He's got a lot of things tying him to it. But, like, I'm not... Oh, apparently his name's Bogroff. So it is... So it's like JB? I definitely don't remember learning his last name was Bogroff, but, like, that's probably true. That might as well happen. That's the key? Oh, that's just to his desk. That's like nothing. That's not a clue. That's not a clue. That's like a fake inventory item. Clues we have are like a shady person, Priscilla. Yeah, I mean, like, those honestly, like, it covers a lot of the stuff. I don't know why there's a clue about the effects of opium. But, like, frankly... Like, he really fits, like, most of the clues we have. Timothy Bow. I'm trying to think of, like, what fictional world I feel like that's the actual solution to this crime, if this crime existed in that fictional world. The weirdest part is, like, not only is that, like, a plausible conclusion to draw, like, the evidence is a little too circumstantial, but, like, he's, like, I definitely like him as a suspect. But, like, also, I don't immediately, like, have anything else to do? What would I ask Puffin about? The gun? I mean, I could try. Even the game doesn't think there's much left to do.
You won't be much more. Now this is one intrusion. What a racket.
Why does the game think there's something I should be able to talk to Tom about? By the way, we've had a few more people show up. I want you to help me settle something. This design on this little fence to square away the magical church chest and the organ. Would you say that this design is more like a turtle with weird coloration or a strange kind of like short-armed man in a suit with a strangely shaped head? This was the debate I was having with myself, sitting here as my idle screen for the stream.
The more I think about it, the more I want to test my theory about prayers being canceled if the candles go out.
Why am I allowed to do this? Why am I allowed to do this?
Well, that's all of them. Hope you made a wish.
Why am I allowed to do that? It's like a turtle, man with a weird Fu Manchu. I'm not sure I see the Fu Manchu, but I think I'm looking at, see, like, if it's a person, I kind of see it like a weird guy with his arms dangling, and it kind of, like, he's wearing, like, a suit, because there's, like, a strip in the middle that looks like it could sort of be a lighter colored, like, button-down shirt with, like, a really dark, like, a thin, dark strip of tie. I don't know why I'm able to blow out those candles. I feel like that's really messed up, but I thought something was going to happen, because the game is suggesting I should be able to do something in this room. The awful pronunciation of Chomdondalia come up in this game? Oh, sophisticated. Go watch the VOD for last week's stream. I was having a fit. I mean, it came up much earlier in the game, but I'm like, that's not correct. This is incorrect. Like, Worcester is bad enough, and I was already familiar with that, but Chomdondalia? No. And I just keep adding more fake consonants to it out of, like, just absolute incense about the nature of it.
This angel looks like it would throw its lamp at you as soon as you turned your back on it. This looks like the nicer of the two angels. What a rack.
Could I have another moment of your...
What am I gonna do? Ask him about the prayer candles? Oh my god, I am. See, okay, this is the second time this has happened in this game, and I don't love this. It's not like a huge gripe, but it does feel like this harkens back to some of the jankier stuff from, like, 90s graphical adventure games, of, like, sometimes there being, like, a trigger to progress the game that makes no sense, and, like, you would have no reasonable way to guess that that's how you advance. Like, the game is like, you need to talk to Tom, and I go in and I try to talk to Tom, and Bill's like, you can't talk to Tom, and I'm like, okay. But if I blow out all the prayer candles like a sociopath, then I can talk to him about the prayer candles and advance the plot. This is similar to how in the last case, like, a drunk woman is trying to, like, flirt with you, and it feels like if you like, indulge her in that conversation, then, like, somehow it's gonna get back to your wife, because, like, this woman is a client of your wife who's a hairdresser, and, like, you'll get in trouble and, like, damage your character's relationship with his wife, which he can take care of for himself, as we've learned. But, like, it felt like I shouldn't do that, and then ultimately I couldn't, like, solve the case without doing that. And here we find a similar situation where I have to act like a sociopath in order to advance the game for some reason.
It seems that all the prayer candles have gone out.
Have they? Blast, I keep saying there's a draft, but nobody's done anything about it.
Right, I actually forgot how terrible this character's line reads were.
Excuse me for a moment, won't you?
Oh, now I can break into the magical Christmas chest? Could get in trouble for this sort of thing.
Let's hope this chest hasn't got squeaky hinges.
What is wrong with us as a person? Dearest Ned, your last letter made me giggle with delight. I just cannot stop dreaming of the day we can finally make our dreams come true and live together as man and wife. I think it would be just the most splendid idea to get a puppy. I've already begun thinking of names. How does Wuffy sound? All my love, P. The whiplash of non sequitur between these two paragraphs really makes me laugh. It's like, let's get married. I can't wait to live together. Apropos of nothing, I think we should get a puppy and name it Wuffy. What do you think? It's like, these feel like these could be two separate text message chains. So is P Priscilla then? Who's Ned? Is Ned the guy who died? I don't remember his name. It's something Lespe. It's Ronan Lespe. Who's Ned?
Could I have another moment of your time, Mr. Puffin?
Yes, I suppose so.
Who,
Do
Ned?
you know anyone named Ned?
Ned, what? Yes, I do. My nephew, Ned Bunkridge.
Now, this is kind of wild to me because, like, what makes me think that this is relevant to the investigation? Now, me, Vasco, the player of the game, is like, look, if the game's letting me do it, it's relevant. But, like, it's pretty weird that the order of operations here is that, like, I walked into the church. I blew out all the prayer candles like a sociopath. I asked this man to go light the prayer candles. I broke into an unlocked chest located centrally at what should probably be an altar, but doesn't look like one in this cathedral. And then I found a weird note to Ned about getting married and getting a puppy together. And then I just, like, turn around to this guy. I'm like, who's Ned? And he's like, it's my nephew. And I'm like, he did it. He did the murder. Like, what? Like, why are we doing this?
Nephew.
Yes? What?
Where might I find Ned? I'd like to speak with him.
Is everything all right? Ned hasn't gotten into any trouble, has he?
Only if he's the one who did your hair up like this.
I always tell him just because he's training his body, that's no excuse to pick fights.
Does he happen to wear dark garb and a cap?
No, he hasn't gotten into any trouble.
Oh, well, he lives in Lyon, at 511 Parkside Terrace.
All right, like, we might as well just talk to
Right.
Ned, I guess.
I'll let you resume your practicing, Mr. Puffin.
Thank you. Have a blessed day.
I would like to talk to this man less. I don't particularly like him. Ned's residence.
Right this way, sir. Mr. Bunkridge is in his gymnasium.
Oh, so he's like a rich guy, huh? He has a sparring steampunk robot. I enjoy this animation. It feels silly, but I like it.
Thank you, my good man.
Well, you take a look at this place, and take a look at him. Maybe you should consider doing some training yourself, Miles. You aren't getting any younger, after all.
Easy for you to say, dead man. What happens if I climb this rope?
Makes you wonder if old Nettie boy is at the end of his rope, too.
Why would it make me wonder that? It would not make me wonder that. That's not a normal thing to wonder.
What in the ether is that supposed to be? Looks like some kind of medieval torture device.
I do appreciate... This is a thing that, like, graphic adventure games get away with that other games, like, don't. Of, like, you just design a thing that, like, doesn't look good or usable, and then you can just be like, who made that? It looks awful.
And again, so does most of this newfangled exercise equipment. This seems to be where Ned keeps his extra equipment and assorted other garbage.
An open-minded corpse you
They
are.
don't look that heavy to me. Oh, look, maybe you can slip these on and go a couple of rounds with Ned. If that's his best right hook, he'll be a pushover. And after that expert knockout you delivered Officer Grant, he won't stand a chance.
All right, we did punch out a guy for being racist to our wife. That happened in this game, too.
Some kind of martial art? Doesn't look like any I've ever heard of. Just when I thought I'd seen it all. What will they think of next?
I mean, we've already seen, like, animatronic animal corpses at the taxidermy office. I feel like this is at least a little less weird than that. Alright, I guess I'll talk to Ned's butt.
Excuse me, Mr. Bunkridge?
Oh, hello. Who are you?
I'm Miles Fordham, a private investigator. Your valet let me in.
Right, of course. What can I do for you?
I have a few questions for you.
Yes, all right. I could use a bit of a rest anyway.
Thought he was gonna look a little tougher. He looks a little pretty in his actual portrait. Did that man say valet? I believe that is actually the correct pronunciation for the profession he's referring to. Now, I'll be honest in that I don't understand what the distinction is between a valet and a valet, but I do believe that there is a distinction. I mean, valet in, like, modern parlance is typically just someone who, like, parks your car for you. But I believe, like, a valet is something like a butler, servant, personal assistant type thing.
Are you familiar with a man named Ronan Lespay?
Never heard of him.
I have his portrait. Maybe you recognize him?
No, I've never seen this man before, but...
That's right, we have his, like, portrait slash photo slash Garrotype?
Huh, how about that?
How about what?
The detail in this ferrotype is a bit fuzzy. But his facial features and hair, they vaguely resemble mine.
Oh, is that what happened? Mistaken identity? That's why someone was talking about Priscilla? Is Priscilla also in some kind of love triangle? And someone saw Lespay, and, like, he got killed because they thought it was, like, this guy, and they knew they couldn't take him in a fight, so they, like, shot him? Interesting. That's an interesting observation.
You know, now that he mentions it, it's true. Lespay does bear a passing resemblance to this fellow. Not quite as handsome, though.
Murder.
So, you know nothing about the murder outside the Silent Raven 4 nights ago?
That's right. I don't even know what the Silent Raven is.
No, but I know about the murder 2 days ago, and the one 7 days ago, but not the one 4 days ago.
It's a bar in the Chum.
There's this. I've learned a lot from this game so far. I'm curious, is there any of those other things that you've learned particularly noteworthy? Or are you poking some amount of fun at how weird its tangential approach to things like voodoo and stuff are, because it's trying to represent multiple locations in the Americas. Sorry, the Vespuccias.
Well, that explains it. For one thing, I don't go to that part of town.
Yeah, that tracks.
A man like me sets foot in that den of ruffians, and I'll have every Tom, Dick, and Harry challenging me to a fight.
It's weird, but maybe true. Oh, yeah, that was pretty interesting. I was a big fan of it was linseed oil, right? I think that was the one that, like, if you just, like, soak fabric in it, it will just catch fire, like, multiple days later. Like, that's wild. I love stuff like that. It's so weird.
Not that I couldn't take them, but I have better ways to train my body than beating thugs. Anyway, I don't drink. Dulls the mind and softens the body.
I see. Well, just thought I'd ask.
I'm sorry I can't help you, Mr. Fordham, but I hope you solve whatever it is you're investigating.
Look, I'm not reading all that, but I'm happy that, like, good for you, or I'm sorry that happened.
You seem like a nice enough sort.
How about your uncle?
Tell me about your uncle.
You know Tom?
I've met him, yes. He's the one who told me where you lived.
Weird.
Oh, right. Well, my uncle is an interesting man.
That's about right.
Is that an interesting of the good or bad variety?
That's about right.
I really wish he would take better care of himself is all. I have the feeling that he's on some sort of drug, although he always denies it.
Can confirm.
What gives you that impression?
Well, most of the time he acts completely normal. He goes to work, visits with me. Sometimes we go out together to the theater or a gallery. But some days his mood changes. He goes very solitary, won't leave his house, gets short with me. One time I went to visit him. I heard him yelling along with what sounded like furniture being knocked about.
Is it possible he opened ye old rage room in his home?
It only happened once, but it worried me. I hope Tom isn't in any sort of trouble.
He always is.
Opium is one hell of a drug. It's a good thing you never got to that point with the soporific, or Adelaide would have thrown you out much sooner.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's much of a bright side right now.
Are you alright, Mr. Fordham?
Yes, I'm fine.
What? Too soon?
Sophisticated says linseed oil readily oxidizes and it's highly exothermic, so coupled with the high surface area of cloth, it builds up a great deal of heat. Yeah, that was... I mean, assuming we got the solution to the last case correct, which I think we did, but as I think Sarah was the one who last time was like, that was kind of an unsatisfying conclusion of like the cops were just like, you did a crime. Ah, shucks. And then it kind of just ended. All the other ones, when you like beat them with what seemed to be the correct solution, had like kind of an interesting cutscene. Maybe my favorite one is in the case of the kidnapped child. Like, if you accuse the nanny, then, like, some guy stops her at the train station when she's trying to flee town, and he's like, I'm Ezekiel Dollar. And I'm like, that's the most fakest name I've ever heard. That's so fake. Tom's address. So now I'm investigating Tom. The game's just, like, doing my job for me, I guess?
Could you give me Tom's address?
You don't have it? I thought you said you'd spoken with him.
Yeah, but here's the thing, is sometimes you talk to a guy and you don't get their address. Like, that happens actually like a really high percentage of the time that you talk to a person.
I visited him at the cathedral.
But if he's there, why do you want his address?
Ooh. Oh, no. So what type of worried do I think that Nephew Ned is about Uncle Tom? Do I think that if I tell this man with a straight face that I think his uncle's involved in a murder, he will want to help because he's concerned that the uncle is, like, unstable? Yeah, like, I think that's the right thing to do, but, like, it feels bad. Like, not only do I not particularly think that Tom is responsible for it, although I think that this lead might help guide us towards someone who is, but, like, it's just, like, I don't know. Maybe that's the main reason why I don't like this, if I really thought he was involved in the... But, like, I think this is the way I get access, is he was like, I'm worried about him, and I'm like, honestly, there might be good reason to, and then, like, I feel like he'll help me, but it feels bad. No, see, so, I could be wrong about this, I was talking about it before, but, like, I think that the way that this game is structured, I think it is possible to lose leads. Like, I've already done it once, it didn't impact the case, I'm pretty sure, but, like, you can lose leads. And I think that these types of questions, which come up, like, once or twice per case, I think it's very possible to just say the wrong thing and then not... I don't think you're able to ask again. Like, it seems like they're usually structured so that there's a right answer and two wrong answers. And in that case, I think this is right.
I have reason to believe he may be somehow involved in a murder.
That's a serious accusation, Mr. Fordham. What proof do you have?
Nothing concrete just yet, which is why I'd like to investigate his home.
Well, you're not the police, so I'm not obligated to tell you. I'm sorry, but you'll need more than just a suspicion to convince me.
I still feel like that was the right choice, but it's interesting because normally when you give the right choice in past experience, it just sort of opens up something new. Here, I guess it just opens up, if I can find something to incriminate Tom, then this guy will give me his address, which is fair enough. No, I do actually have the ability to say multiple things. Maybe I've been wrong all along, and I've just chosen something that is able to advance the story in each previous case. I've really struggled with these questions, and maybe I'm a fool.
He interests me. I'd like to look at his things.
He interests you.
Yeah.
Yes. Choir master, musician. He seems a very intriguing fellow. You said so yourself.
And how will going to his apartment and looking at his things help you?
Because I'm intrigued.
I'll get to know him better?
You're an odd man, Mr. Fordham. I don't think I'll be giving you that address. In fact, maybe you should just stay away from my uncle. And me as well, for that matter.
Okay, so maybe I was half right.
Making friends every...
I saved relatively recently. Do I want to go back, or do I just want to commit to that? Yeah, no, that's a fail state for that lead. So that does sort of confirm my suspicion to some extent. But because I hadn't been able to ask multiple questions in the past, I kind of thought that I should try that. But, like, I don't know. I've struggled a little bit with this during this playthrough. Is like, is it more interesting to the viewer for us to try and get the best solution always? And use the save states? Yeah, no, I think my interpretation was correct. I didn't know for sure. Like, it's one of those tricky things, Tech and some other people I know really hate this about, like, some of the like, Telltale style games. Which is, like, you know, it'll give you, like, a really short window to, like, choose a dialogue option sometimes. And then sometimes, like, the dialogue options, as they're presented, are just, like, a word or two. And, like, you'll be like, you'll have, like, 5 seconds, you'll panic, and you'll be like, insurance! And then they'll be like, so you committed insurance fraud, didn't you? And you were like, no, I wanted to know something about insurance premiums. And then, like, that character, like, will remember that you hate them forever. And, like, I feel like I wasn't sure that my character was going to stumble so hard at that. He interests me. Yes! In an incredibly creepy way. And he's like, yeah, no. No to that. Nah, I don't think you should talk about, like, licking my uncle or whatever. That's not cool. But what do you think, chat? Do we want to go with our first instincts and just reload the save to the way I initially answered the question, or do we stick with the fact that I tried that and it went even worse than I thought it would go? What other stuff do we have going on? I guess if we don't get that lead, are we just, like, finished? Because, like, the only thing left to do is accuse Jimbo, I guess. Maybe that makes the decision easier? I really don't think Jimbo did it, but at least it's a more compelling dead end than usual. I'm torn on this case because, like, I like a lot of the stuff that's come up so far, but, like, we're at, like, this weird bottleneck in the case where I feel like I have to, like, take this really scenic route to, like, get to anywhere that makes sense. Like, it absolutely doesn't seem logical to me that the next thing to do would be to investigate Tom's place. Alright, well, I only see one vote in chat. Ooh, the map screen is more recent.
Thanks.
Oh, you
Valid.
Excuse.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I do think it's funny that he can give that response. I mean, to be clear, I do think it's actually really interesting that you can reach those fail states and that most of, like, almost all of the ones that the game has presented that I've been aware of, like, seem valid, but, like, I kind of just want to finish the case. I don't know.
Huh. Yes. Oh, we've been together.
Oh, no, wait, no. Oh.
Thanks
I thought I'd been through all the conversation options, but that's not true, because what I did instead was piss him off after, like, 3 conversation topics, and then he wouldn't talk to me anymore. So I was trying to click through everything, but, like, there's actually only, like, 2 or 3 that we got through.
Excuse me.
So I need to actually pay attention to what I'm clicking on and go from the top of the list.
Are you,
No. Huh.
You know, not quite.
So,
Well, that man. Not anyway.
I see.
I'm sorry. You see.
Actually, here's what we'll do. Here's
You're
what we'll
very
do.
into physical conditioning, aren't you?
Oh, you noticed. Yes, I believe that a healthy body is just as important as a healthy mind, if not more so.
Well, he's definitely prioritizing the former.
It's important to keep fit, especially at a job like mine where I'm in a chair most of the day.
What job is that?
I'm a clerk at the Bank of Vespuccia,
Why does everyone work at the Bank of Vespuccia?
but someday
Are there
I
other
hope to
jobs?
leave and teach others about the health benefits of regular exercise. Perhaps even open up my own gymnasium.
I'd like to start teaching goat yoga.
Ah, he actually thinks people are gonna go for that. Good luck to him.
What a hilarious joke. Bill is so funny. Bill's such a great addition to the game. Oh yeah, I forgot. In this case, we're asking everyone about their political opinions. What a great
How do you
idea.
feel about the election outcome?
I'm disappointed. Atwood may not have been the greatest PM, but he was pro-steam tech. Sure, the Lygia incident was a tragedy, but people are too quick to judge. Steam technology is a boon to mankind. It's already enriched my life considerably. It's a shame that progress is going to be held back because of one isolated occurrence.
I agree. Technological advancement doesn't come cheap, but it shouldn't be abandoned entirely.
I'm still not sure why that's like a thing in this case.
Does the name Priscilla mean anything to you?
Yes, it most certainly does. My lady love is named Priscilla Poundstone.
I see. What can you tell me about her?
Oh, she's a darling. I love her very much. Such a kind and gentle soul she is, too. Loves animals, especially dogs. We've been together for ages and are due to be married soon.
When was the last time you saw her?
Saw her? Oh, no, Mr. Fordham. She doesn't live in New Britannia. She attends Miss Threadneedle's Academy for Young Ladies in Cormorant.
Miss Threadneedle? That's a fake name too. Like Ezekiel Dollar.
She lives in New Holland?
New Holland? What is New Holland supposed to be? Is that like Pennsylvania?
That's right. I've never actually met Priscilla face to face. We communicate exclusively through correspondence.
That's weird. That complicates my open theory about some mistaken identity leading to Ronan Lespay getting murdered over the attention of Priscilla. Because if she's not here, did someone travel here from New Holland to do a murder? I guess that might account for their decreased familiarity with the appearance of this guy if he's not also local. Yeah, it could be a boyfriend back home. It just feels like that's, like, in defiance of Occam's razor unless we get better evidence.
How did you two get involved?
Her father and mine were old military friends. They decided between them that their children would be engaged.
Interesting. Now, it doesn't sound from this guy's account like they were unhappy about the arranged marriage, but, you know, that's only one side of the story.
And you're both in agreement?
Yes. I admit at first I was a bit hesitant, but we share many of the same interests. The distance between us is not a detriment to our love.
I wonder how that will change once they actually begin cohabiting.
It's true, she did seem happy in the letter, and it was addressed to Ned. So it's not like, you know, he got the letter meant for someone else and misinterpreted it or something. That's where we got the name Ned. She wrote the letter to Ned and said they should get a puppy named Wuffy.
So you correspond regularly with Priscilla?
That's right. At least one letter a week. My uncle does me the kindness of acting as courier.
Do you think I might have a look at one of those letters?
What for? They're private correspondence.
I'm interested in you, wink.
I understand, but I feel this is important. Perhaps you could show me one that isn't too personal.
Yes, I suppose that would be all right.
So are you thinking what I'm thinking, that given the weird nature of this relationship, that possibly Priscilla is, like, made up? Or that, Tom is somehow, like, faking her responses for some manner of interference?
In fact, I think there's a recent one on the shelf there. That's not too private. But you won't need to take it, will you?
Probably not.
Not at all. I just want to have a look.
So hold
Thanks
that
for your
Tom
time.
Puffin. Hold that Tom Puffin there. So what I'm gonna do here. So we can revisit this. My dearest Ned, I was so happy to receive your last letter. Things are going well here. I'm due to begin my next course within the week. How are things with you? Did you manage to set up that gymnasium you were talking about? You'll have to send me a ferrotype of your new physique. P. Yeah, that's not the same handwriting, because the other one looked all, like, super girly with, like, Disney flourishes to the way the eyes were dotted and stuff.
Wait just a minute. Something's off here. The handwriting in this letter is different to the one we found before. There's something strange going on with this Priscilla.
So, before I talk to him about Tom, can I talk to Tom about Priscilla? Wait, did Tom say that he knew or didn't know Priscilla? You
won't be much more help right now. You won't.
Okay, well, I guess instead of that, I will... Okay. I mean, Casebook says, like, we really... Yeah, it's just like, talk to him. Okay, I'll talk to him. I'll talk to his butt again.
Can I ask you?
All right.
Tell me about your uncle.
You know Tom?
I've met him, yes. He's the one who told me where you live.
Oh, right. Well, my uncle is, an interesting man.
Is that an interesting of the good or bad variety?
I really wish he would take better care of himself is all.
Yeah, maybe I could talk to him after he needs proof. I'm gonna set the flag and we'll see what the game does with it.
I have the feeling that he's on some sort of drug, although he always denies it.
What gives you that impression?
Well, most of the time he acts completely normal. He goes to work, visits with me. Sometimes we go out together to the theater or a gallery. But some days his mood changes. He goes very solitary, won't leave his house, gets short with me.
He shrinks down. My sister insists that one of her close friends in college would change height dependent on her mood. And I don't think I've ever known anyone to not be skeptical of that story, including myself. I can't say that it's not true. I didn't know her that well. But that sounds like magical realism, and not so much like a thing that your roommate would do.
One time I went to visit him. I heard him yelling along with what sounded like furniture being knocked about. It only happened once, but it worried me. I hope Tom isn't in any sort of trouble.
Like murder
Opium
trouble?
is one hell of a...
Are you all right, Mr. Fordham?
Yes, I'm fine.
Sounds like a bad joke. It certainly sounds like a joke, but like she even brought it up like recently. I think like sometime over Thanksgiving we were talking about something and she's like, my friend in college would change height based, and I was like, oh, we're still doing okay.
What?
Like I said, I'm skeptical. I can't say that that's not true, but I'm
Did
skeptical.
you give me Tom's address?
You don't have it? I thought you...
I visit.
But if he...
I'm just gonna skip these. You saw me do it. All right. Okay. Here we go. See, okay. This is weird. I like that this response changes. It's weird to me that you're able to say you suspect him of murder beforehand. That's a little weird.
I think there's something going on between him and Priscilla.
Something going on? What do you mean?
I found a letter addressed to you from her at the cathedral, and the handwriting is different to the letter you have here.
He has one of her letters? Why would he?
I'm not sure, which is why I'd like to search his home and find out more.
If he's going behind my back, I swear I'll...
Punch him like a robot?
Calm yourself, Mr. Bunkridge. If I find anything, you'll be the first to know.
But then someone might
right.
die.
Tom lives at 117 Gimlet Terrace in Worcester.
Hey, we're practically neighbors.
Here, I've got a spare key. If you find anything about him and Priscilla, you'll tell me, won't you?
Everyone's so cavalier about their spare keys in this world.
Of course. Thank you, Mr. Bunkridge. Thanks for your time.
Not a problem.
Not a problem. Please disprove infidelity. Puffin.
Nice place. Tidy. Nothing incriminating that I can see.
It's like there's something weird around this statue.
People rarely leave anything incriminating out in the open. It's time to have a look around.
Love how you don't have to show proof for this case. Well, how do you mean that? Like, I mean, I think it's implied that we didn't take the note from the cathedral, because then it would be easier to tell that we had, like, tampered with the weird chest. But, like, why is it the case that, like, Tom is keeping personal effects in an unlocked chest on the pseudo-altar of that cathedral? Like, just that whole location is just weird to me. Like, in order to, like, rummage around through his things, you have to blow out all the prayer candles, and then you can rummage around through his personal stuff, which is stored, like, in a public space in the cathedral without a lock on it. Like, why? That's super weird. But, like, yeah, I feel like he would probably want to, like, see the letters to compare it himself. I do agree with you on that. But, like, I don't know if that's, like, necessarily a this case versus other case thing.
A statue of Eros, I believe? God of love or lust or something. Man babies in diapers never did much for me.
Oh,
That's
scratches,
odd.
okay.
There are some scratches on the floor next to that statue.
Yeah, that's, like, that jumps out at me immediately looking at this room. Like, that's weird.
Puffin's daily planner. The man leads an even more boring life than you. Who knew that was even possible?
Oh, you mean that he won? Oh, I see what you mean. Like, he was like, hold on, murder's a serious accusation. And then I'm like, what if I say he's messing around with the woman that you think you know super well? And he's like, I immediately distrust that. I mean, maybe it's meant to be a subtle way that, like, he's kind of a jealous guy who's inclined to, like, believe the worst in women or something like that. But more likely, it's just like weird gating in terms of adventure game logic.
Puffin's music room is a bit lacking in comparison to the one in the painting.
Weird and pointless observation. Let me rummage for his personal effects in his home.
It's empty. It's empty.
Okay.
It's empty.
All of the general hitbox is one thing.
So Puffin plays at home too? His poor neighbors.
I mean, the woman who's hosting us plays piano in her home. We didn't throw a fit about that.
Music books. Clearly Puffin has never touched them.
I'm just trying to get a sense of all the stuff around here before I go into the next room, but I assume there's more to look at.
The look in her eye tells me she's probably hiding something.
Like a safe or something? That's probably... No, wait, I can move the statue? If I click it again, I can move it?
How about that? Looks like we found singing Tom's buried treasure.
Whoa. Vasco booty.
Let's just see what we have here.
What have we here? What have we here? What have we here? Dearest Priscilla, I have completed all of my plans and will soon come visit you in Cormorant. Please remember that life in New Britannia is hard, and so I may look a bit more advanced in years than you might expect. Uh-oh. Sorry. Ruh-roh.
Interesting stuff, but what about the box itself? It seems Puffin's gun has
Jenkins
gone
and
missing.
Bowen.
He should really take better care of his things. Jenkins and Bowen. The name shares the initials that were on the murder weapon. That's quite a coincidence, wouldn't you say?
I mean, it being a manufacturer of guns, it's somewhat of a coincidence, to be fair. But as I said, it seemed less likely that it would be someone's initials than it would be a manufacturer. Shadow gun, good for fighting shadow men. Hey, if you get trapped in the shadow realm, you'd rather have that than a real gun. Because, like, real guns don't really work in, like, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Universe. You either have to play a card game or, you know, do some other nonsense, like ride a motorcycle.
I would if I believed in coincidences.
Things are starting to fall into place here, Miles. Between the letters, the missing gun, and what Edwards told us about the effects of opium.
Alright, the whole opium connection feels like a real reach to me, to be honest with you.
I think we have enough evidence to consider Puffin a suspect.
I'm not, like, condoning opioid use for recreational purposes or anything, but, like, I feel like his motivation is romantic in nature and not spurred on by the drugs, maybe made worse by them, but it seems like a personal motive, and not that like the drugs are making him act crazy.
No point wasting time searching Puffin's bedroom. I have a feeling that if there's something to find, it's here in the sitting room.
Super weird to me that they go to the trouble of showing this and then not letting you look at it. It ends up I don't need to, but it seems weird. Is there anything else in the hole?
Nothing else in there. Too bad.
You know, the fact that they gave a whole animation for walking back when I clicked on that, I thought there might be like a lead to some other interpretation of the case. Although...
Huh. I was wondering when he was going to show up.
Alright, fine. Does feel like all of that does kind of fall into place, though. Even the game doesn't seem to think I have any more leads. The conclusion of this case feels rather abrupt. Am I alone in that? No, I get it. I get what they're saying now. It took me a minute. They're saying that the drugs are involved because he was not able to correctly recognize that instead of killing his nephew, he was shooting some guy who looked vaguely like his nephew. Can I go tell Ned? Maybe. Did say a condition of me coming here was that I would tell him. I feel like that might be a choice that could result in Tom's death. I spelled that wrong, but that's fine. I don't care enough to fix it. Talk to this man's butt.
He hasn't got anything else to tell us right now. And he probably wouldn't appreciate the interruption.
So that's a little weird. It does feel like... It feels like the game was priming me for that to be a thing. That I could, like, come and talk to him and tell him that, and then someone dies as a result. But I guess instead I'm just supposed to solve the case. Is there, like, anything else to do? Like, again, that just felt kind of abrupt. We went from, like, no information to having, like, a whole lot of information. It felt a little convenient in a way I feel a little uncomfortable about.
Let's not stick a...
I really can't talk to, like, anyone. It's actually a reasonable question. Can I literally talk to anyone? I don't think that I can.
He won't have...
If that's true, then this case probably is done. Who else was I gonna talk to? Oh, the bakery. Oh, I got something.
Have you got time for a few more questions, Mrs.
Yes, of
Wrap up case. Oh, right. She's the one who gave me the case, not Miss Upton. I guess.
I've completed my investigation of your brother's murder, Mrs. Morgan.
You have? Oh, that's such a relief to hear. Who killed him?
I don't know why, but I appreciate that I think maybe every case, maybe there's one that didn't, but I love that, like, when you go to report that you've, like, finished the case, you can only do this when you found at least one legitimate suspect that the game recognizes as a legitimate suspect. But I like that when you go to report, you can just be like, I'm sorry, the case is unsolvable, and then, I don't know, is that it? Do you get fired forever? I bet that there's, like, an any percent speedrun of this game where you just declare all the cases unsolvable. And then you get, like, a trophy like, worst detective since LA Noire. I mean, Tom did it?
It was Tom Puffin, choir master at St. Denis Cathedral.
What? But why would a member of the church do something like that?
Puffin is in love with his nephew Ned's fiancée, Priscilla.
This is, like, can you imagine how, like, baffled you would be to get this response to her question? Like, she's like, oh no, my dead brother, what happened? Like, why would someone in the church do it? And he's like, so this guy you've never heard of was in love with this woman you've never heard of who was betrothed to this guy you've never heard of? And it's like, I need you to slow down and make sense,
He's
okay?
even gone so far as to intercept their letters and write to each of them under false pretenses. Mr. Puffin is also an avid opium user and is prone to fits of rage as well as hallucinations. The evening of the murder, Puffin was at the Silent Raven, and in his opium-induced fog mistook your brother for Ned. He had his pistol on him, and his rage and jealousy got the better of him. Poor Ronan was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time.
And what about the clothes he was wearing? Or why he was in Chumley in the first place?
I'm afraid those are questions I cannot answer, Mrs. Morgan. However, I have sufficient evidence to place Mr. Puffin at the scene of the crime.
That's interesting. I sort of forgot about that angle. Is that something I missed? Who would we have talked to about that? There really weren't, like, a lot of leads that have something to do with, like, a broader mystery? Something? Huh. It's a reasonable question.
Well, I suppose that's good enough then. So what happens now?
Now, I'll inform Miss Upton of my findings, and she'll send an officer along to arrest Puffin. From there, justice will be served accordingly.
I think I did the wrong thing. I think I should have had an answer to that, yeah.
Tom Puffin?
Yes, may I help you, officer?
You're under arrest for the murder of Ronan Lespay.
What? Oh, God. So it wasn't a dream.
Come along, sir. We need to question you at the station.
Huh.
You know, Miles, you've been coming in here a lot lately, but you've never looked quite this glum.
Huh. I'm not sure how to interpret that. Because I got the achievement. I forget. Is this the game that's showing those right now? I got the trophy mistaken identity, and I thought that meant like I had mistaken the suspect, and that like I had gotten it wrong. But then when like the police officer came and accused me, it was like, oh, now that you mention it, I do remember committing that murder. And like it does, like I don't know why his gun would be missing, but like what's with the clothes? I don't know if I did that right. I honestly don't know.
What's going on?
I've bungled things pretty badly at home. Been staying with a friend the past couple of weeks.
But you know, I actually kind of like that it's not obvious. It's not like completely obvious whether you got it right or wrong. Like the art case, like I'm pretty sure I got that right and wasn't sure if I got that right. This case, I think I got it right and I don't know.
I see.
I haven't been honest with my wife. Coming here and drowning my sorrows hasn't really helped, oddly enough. And yet, it's all I can do to keep from going crazy.
Yeah, you have a problem. That you've described alcoholism.
You know, Miles, I've seen and heard a lot of things over the years. Some of the stories would turn your hair white. But through it all, I've come to learn one thing. It's usually not too late to make things better, but only if you let yourself try.
Thank you for the advice, Patrick.
All I can do is give it, Miles. Whether you choose to take it or not is entirely up to you. Now, would you like another gin?
No, thank you. This time I really do need to be on my way.
Ooh. Chat. Do we try to fix it? Do we take his advice and try to fix our marriage? Or do we go back to Upton's? Is there some, like, weird path through this game where you end up, like, romantically entangled with Upton? It was, like, vaguely implied that could happen, because when we went to visit her, she was, like, very, like, touchy-feely. Like, she was drunk and we were drunk, and we went there and she's like, here's this big hug from your friend Upton. Fix it? Okay, let's do it. Let's visit Adelaide. This could go
I
bad.
should go and see how my wife is doing.
I see. Well, have a good night, Miles. And good luck to you.
He's either invested in that or judged. I can't tell what that tone was. I see.
Who in the ether?
I mean, we just came from the bar. We, like, just came from the bar.
Miles? This is a surprise.
Well, we don't have Steam phones yet. Oh my god. That last option. I think that's how you get killed in this game. I mean, I should, like, start by apologizing. The second one's, like, sort of neutral. The last one gets you killed. The top one seems like the correct one if my intention is to fix this. But, like, I do appreciate that this game lets you be just, like, a total dingus. Ah, dearest, I've decided to forgive you.
Addie, it's so good to see you. I've been such an idiot lately.
Well, I'm glad you can admit to it.
Alright, good start, maybe.
Would you like to come in?
Very
Okay.
much.
Was there something you wanted to talk about?
I kind of want to tell her about Bill. Should we tell her about Bill? I think I mentioned this before. Like, when we were fighting, I wanted to have the option to tell her about Bill because, like, specifically because Bill doesn't want us to tell her about Bill. I mean, there's no guarantee that she will take this well, but I want to do it. Like, it could still blow up, but, like, I want to do it.
I've given it a lot of thought, and I think it's time I finally told you the truth.
Miles, what are you doing? You know this is a terrible idea.
The truth?
About why I've been acting the way I have been since Bill died.
Well, go on. I'm listening.
Don't do it, Miles. You know it's a one-way ticket to Riverview if you do.
Actually, never mind. This game's good. It's a good game.
I've been hearing Bill's voice ever since he died.
Fordham, what is wrong with you?
His voice?
I can't believe this! You've just destroyed your life! I hope you realize that!
Dude, our life was, like, already destroyed. And also, your judgment is terrible, and I hate you.
Yes. In my head, at all hours. That's why I was taking the soporific. It was the only way to keep him quiet. Or so I thought. Turns out that alcohol has the same effect.
What does he say to you?
The type of things he'd say when he was alive. Snarky comments, inappropriate jokes. Mainly he nags me to find the flower shop burglar. He thinks doing that will let him find peace and move on.
I see.
Yeah, she's not liking this.
I told you you'd think I was crazy.
Don't be ridiculous, Miles. It's nothing like that. It's just, I wish you had told me sooner is all.
Why, are you a witch?
I know, but I was afraid.
Well, I'm glad you finally trusted me. You know, you could have all along.
I don't know that. The way you responded was not positive.
So, you're all right with it?
It is quite a lot to take in. I think I'll need some time to mull it over. But what matters now is that we can work through this together.
I understand. Well, I should probably go. It was lovely to see you again, Addie.
Lovely to see you too, Miles.
Perhaps I'll stop by again next week?
Or sooner, if you'd like.
Sure. Like the men in white coats aren't gonna have you taken away by then.
Right. I'll see myself out then.
Good night, Miles.
Is she gonna have us committed? Do you think she's gonna have us committed? I think she might have us committed. I got the model husband achievement.
Fordham, wake up.
Huh? He just leapt over the side. I don't... Oh, Upton. What's going on?
Goodness, Fordham. You look terrible. Is everything all right?
I don't know, man.
Just had some trouble sleeping. More than usual.
Well, I hope you've rested enough, because I've got something very important to show you.
Oh, wonderful. If we're sharing information now, are you gonna tell Upton about me as well?
It'd be really sad if we can't exercise Bill
What
by
is
the
it?
end of this game.
There's been a murder.
This is a little too cynical. Is there something in particular about this murder that makes it important?
I assume this one is special somehow, or you wouldn't be bringing it to me.
I thought that great detectives never assumed.
There are exceptions to every rule.
Anyway, you're right.
The victim in question is a member of Parliament, a man named Percival McDonough to be precise. But this is the real corker. The murder is clearly the work of the Justice Killer.
Forget all the details of the Justice Killer, but that's like the serial killer going around? Yeah, I paid a moderate amount of attention to the newspaper, just forgot about it.
Justice Killer? Is that the mass murderer I've been hearing about?
The very same.
Why Justice Killer, though?
It's part of his modus operandi. He kills his victims with a single gunshot to the head, then writes the word justice somewhere in the room with the victim's blood.
Talk about melodramatic.
The police are stumped. This is the killer's 5th victim, and there isn't a single lead.
So you want me to investigate?
Not just yet. First, I need you to look at these sketches.
I don't understand why this dialogue choice matters at all. I don't think any of these particularly matter, unless there's like a secret relationship gauge behind the scenes of these types of conversations. But like, there seems to be no relevant distinction between these two options.
Crime scene sketches? Upton, are you allowed to have these?
Relax, Fordham. These are just copies I made with the station's ferroduplicator.
How do we have a photocopier and not have some more basic stuff that we've demonstrated this world doesn't have?
These killings need to stop, and I believe you can succeed where the department has so far failed.
So, what am I looking for?
The police went over each crime scene with a fine-toothed comb and turned up practically no useful physical evidence. I want a second opinion from you. If you can find some sort of link between them, it might be possible to track this monster down.
All right, let's see what we can see. Maybe there's something that Snelling's finest overlooked.
Here are the 4 sketches. Have a look at them and see if you notice anything that might help us find this maniac.
Take a look at Banner. Someone in chat was looking up and said we did get the wrong answer for that case. I think I'm fine with that. Do people want to go back and try and find the last lead? The fact that, like, we can't answer the clothes was sort of the indicator to me, like, that was probably true. Really? That's not the wrong answer, but we missed a character? Is that what you were saying? That's interesting. So it's like getting the right answer in math class, but not being able to show your work. But that's actually really good. No, like, I actually really like that. It's not a key detail to solve the case, but, like, she asks a very reasonable question and I don't have an answer, but it changes the dialogue. Like, that's really cool. I'm fine with the amount of information I have. I don't know if I'll play that off stream, but, like, that's fine. I mean, I don't know what I expected. She called them sketches? But, like, somehow this is less detailed than I was expecting. I guess maybe that's not true. It feels like a cartoon doodle. It's very interesting. Yeah, sure, hit me with it. That's fine. Okay, I can... There's not actually a lot of hotspots, but it still has hotspots as though I was in the room.
Whoever drew this was a hack. That looks more like a piece of toast than a flower.
Is that an Easter lily? Is that what Easter lily looks like? Is the Justice Killer the guy who killed Bill? Is that why all this is happening?
What's the point? It's not like you're actually going to be able to investigate this case.
Oh my god, Bill! Bill! Bill, you're the worst! Bill, I hate you!
If only you hadn't told Adelaide about me, I might share my thoughts with you. As it is, you're on your own.
Bill is without a doubt the worst character in this game. There is no ability to dispute this reasonably. So, like, literally, I don't even get the... Because of the way this game is made, because Bill's mad at me, I also don't get, like, Miles' observations about things that exist.
If only you hadn't... What's the point? Whoever drew this was...
I mean, on the one hand, like, that would feel like good news if it meant Bill was actually not talking to me, and instead I got, like, Miles's perspective on things. But, it just feels annoying.
Oh, were you hoping for some witty insight? Shame, because you're not getting any. I'm sure this is terribly relevant, but I've got nothing to say about it. I don't feel like looking at dead bodies right now. Is there something more exciting we could be doing?
He's so bad! What a terrible character! Bill is such a blight on this game. Like, there's so much to like about this game, but there's, like, an unfortunately high percentage of Bill in it, and he's just garbage. Those are Easter lilies? So then my super obvious theory is correct? That's good. Victor... That's kind of interesting. I don't know that I want to read that out loud, just because, like, for odd people, if they want to, like, look that up, that might be fun for them. It's not bad. It's not quite as exciting as I might have hoped for. I feel like I had kind of... I mean, it's just a little complicated, but I guess it's interesting that there's an extra layer to what was going on. But it just doesn't... I mean, it doesn't feel necessary, and I guess it's not. So, in a sense, that is pretty cool.
Yeah, he's dead. Big deal. Boring.
Oof. Oof.
I'm really not in the mood. Boring, just like everything else in this sketch.
Interesting.
Okay, good.
Oh, what? You actually found something without my help? I'm shocked.
You think it's interesting for why your vote didn't matter? I don't know. I guess I'm skeptical that that really addresses it, because it's such a large... Like, they said it was like a 70% margin that the not Atwood guy won by. That, like, that would be, like, a huge scandal in order for that to work. Talk to therapist to disable Bill. You know, like, it would be a lot of work, but it would be kind of interesting to me if, like, you chose to reveal to the woman at the Spirit Society that, like, you heard Bill's voice and, like, didn't want to. And then she had, like, some solution to get rid of Bill. And then, like, maybe you lose out on some insight from Bill, but then, like, in exchange for that, for the rest of the game, like, you get Miles' perspective, which to me would be preferable.
Upton?
Easter Lily.
What is it, Fordham?
About those crime scene sketches.
Yes?
Easter Lily.
I think I found a connection.
I knew you would. What is it?
There's a single flower at each crime scene. They look deliberately placed.
There is? Let me have a look. You're right. One lily at each scene.
Wait, what did you say?
These flowers, they're lilies. Easter lilies, I think.
I don't believe it.
Upton, this is incredible. This is the lead I've been searching for.
He's so excited. Look at his weird, shocked face.
What? You mean for another case?
The flower shop burglar. He was stealing Easter lilies, and I distinctly remember him saying something about his desire to uphold justice. At the time, I thought it was just the rambling of a lunatic, but now it seems so obvious.
So the flower shop burglar is the justice killer?
It seems too much of a coincidence otherwise.
Well, then that's wonderful. You can kill two birds with one stone.
Ooh, do I get a stone now to use as a weapon?
Excellent work, Fordham. I knew you could do it.
I got an objective. How you doing?
Everything all right with you?
Oh, I'm getting by. I expect things go back to normal once this killer is caught.
Yeah, that's how the police work.
I haven't worn out my welcome.
I don't
yet,
need a
have
map
I?
to get to Bonetown.
Is that true? Do we not need a map to get to Bone Town? We get to kill the Justice Killer and Bill. I think that is the correct way to look at it. Because we're led to believe that if we kill the Justice Killer, then he will go on to the afterlife. I don't want to say ascend to heaven because I know what Bill's like, and, well...
No, you're still
he's kind of just a jerk.
tolerable. But when was the last time you washed your hair?
See, did I not? I feel like I legitimately objected to this last week. I feel like he's going around talking to people, and we really don't have any reason to believe that he's taking care of his hygiene.
You're starting to sound like Adelaide.
Bill is, how do I say this? Going downstairs. Well, that's good. I just hope he doesn't get wet down there.
What exactly are the details regarding this justice killer?
Do you have his address?
The killings began a few months ago, and so far he's claimed 5 victims. The department wanted to keep this information out of the public eye to prevent a panic, but word has gotten out. On the bright side, it makes your involvement in the case much less suspicious.
What can you tell me about the previous victims?
4 men from Chumley: Hannibal Kirkland, Reggie Willingham, Ennis Bowditch,
I might
and Burley Cause.
get wet down there.
You hate to see it. That's just not what you want. That's why you get nervous. And you might need a map in that case. But, I mean, listen. I don't need a map to get to Bonetown. I'm not sure... Demolition, was your implication that the connection between the floral burglar and the murders is too obvious? We don't need a map to find it?
No known connection between any of them aside from the borough they lived in. I have copies of the police reports from each of the crime scenes. Go ahead and take them.
Thank you, Upton.
Good thing we have ye old steampunk photocopier. Ding? 2 dings. Only 2 dings.
What are the details regarding the killer's latest victim?
As I mentioned, the victim is Percival McDonough, a member of Parliament. He was found this morning by his secretary in his office. I expect the official investigation is still underway.
Snelling will love me to visit.
So the killer managed to get into the Houses of Parliament. No easy feat.
You can say that again. It's the killer's first high-profile victim. It means he's getting bolder.
I'm not sure that's necessarily true. I mean, it seems bolder because he's targeting a high-profile person. But it might just be the case that whatever his, like, actual MO is... just finally, like, linearly led to killing this particular person. We don't know why they're being killed, really.
Suppose I'll have to drop by and see for myself.
So I assume this is going to be the last case. Which sounds about right. I think there's supposed to be, like, 5 cases. I think we've done 4, not counting the prologue. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I think that's right.
Not a bad idea.
Right. I think I have enough information to get started. I think I'll begin with...
Odd. I wasn't expecting company. Chief Snelling?
Uh-oh.
Upton, we need to talk. Fordham, I should have guessed I'd find you here.
I don't know why you would guess that, to be honest. Yeah, I feel like they chose that name on purpose, right, Haggis? I feel like I just instinctively want to call him Chief Smelling, or Smelly, or something along those lines. I've, you know, in the lines of work that I've been doing for the past, like, 10 years, I've dealt with a lot of fairly unpleasant people. And something that I've found often is helpful in that case is to actually be needlessly pleasant, like, too pleasant. Because, like, there's a limit to how much trouble you can get in for being pleasant, even if it's, like, obnoxious.
Ah, Chief Snelling. What a pleasant surprise.
I'm equally pleased to see you, although having you here does save me a bit of trouble.
Are we getting committed, like, now? Like, right now?
Trouble?
Those are some rather interesting decorations. Would either of you care to explain how they got here?
I inherited them. I mean, I bought them on the internet. I mean, I inherited the internet. The steampunk internet.
And once again, the jig is up. I hope you can talk your way out of this one, too.
Can I do that? Is that possible? I took sketches from the police department myself. That sounds like a bad option. I asked Upton to get those sketches for me. That also sounds bad. I told Upton it was wrong to take those sketches. That also sounds bad. Those all are bad options. You like one? I'm not sure I would say that I like any of these options. They each have different merits to them. It does, for some reason, feel like one might be the better option. I mean, it's problematic because if I get arrested for that, like, I assume I just lose the game. But, like, yeah, the others both seem to get Upton in trouble. There's, like, an argument that, like, saying that you told her it was wrong to take the sketches isn't the same as, like... No, it really doesn't. It's still pretty much implicated. Yeah. What sketches? I like remain silent, the old telltale strategy of just, like, don't press a button. But yeah, I mean, going by... It could be considered a flaw of this game, but, like, there's typically 3 or fewer options, and in these cases where you're trying to, like, talk your way into or out of trouble, it does seem like you want the odd one out. Whatever, like, is least similar from the other 2 is usually the right option. It's an interesting supposition, Sarah, that he needs us too much to actually throw us in jail immediately. I'm skeptical that he would see it that way, only because he seems to hate us so much. Demolition says, I tried to draw a circle to draw an owl, and instead I drew this. It's like, what was that, like, mail-in, like, art school thing? That's, like, kind of an old meme from, like, the before internet times, where it was, like, half of a turtle was drawn, and it was, like, draw the other half of the turtle and send it back to us, and we'll tell you if you have artistic talent. It's like, yeah, so I found one of those applications, and then I tried to draw the other half of the turtle, and I drew a gunshot victim lying in their apartment with an Easter lily.
I brought them here, after I made duplicates and took them from the police department.
Nice try, Fordham, but I know for a fact that isn't true. The Ferroduplicator makes a report of every employee who uses it, as well as what was copied.
Well, for one, I'd like to think that Miles Fordham knew that. For 2, I'm not sure that there's a way to talk yourself out of that situation, this being true.
A rather useful feature for instances such as these. Wouldn't you agree?
Perhaps it was correct to say I told her not to take them, but...
These gadgets are gonna be the undoing of us all.
In any case, I did some digging and discovered some intriguing information. Upton, why have you been passing on classified police information to Mr. Fordham?
Why, I never!
Because he's the best detective you ever had on the force, and you know it.
Is that right? Personally, I don't consider getting your partner killed the mark of a great detective. But what's done is done. Constance Upton, your employment with the New Britannia Police Department is hereby terminated.
But...
I should add that it's only because of your 25 years of dedicated service that I'm not pressing charges against you.
There really wasn't a way to talk your way out of that, right? I think that this is a foregone conclusion. I can't think of a way to get out of this, unless I was supposed to somehow reach this point in the game with information I don't have.
But as for you, Fordham, I have enough evidence to place you under arrest for obstruction of justice and interfering with police investigations.
Now, I'll grant you interfering with police investigations quite easily without argument. Obstruction of justice? I'm not sure we really qualify for that. Do you ever want to talk and say that we've solved that case right now? You mean the current case, Demolition? Just be like, I solved it, and then, like, see how much we can stall for time, Phoenix Wright style.
Do you have anything to say in your defense before I take you in for questioning?
Easter lilies! Easter lilies! Banana ham. Upton, a little help here? We hired Phoenix Wright as our lawyer. He mostly does murder cases, to be honest. Yeah, for sure it's 1. Like, this one's for sure 1, but I do agree that these are all pretty bad again. This is all Upton's fault. It's just such a rude... Like, she's already, like, totally doomed anyway, so for us to be like, oh man, it's her fault, like a child.
Yes, as a matter of fact, I do. I know who the Justice Killer is.
Fordham, if this is your idea of a diversion...
It's true. I found a link in the sketches of the crime scenes.
All right, let's hear it then. What do you think you found?
I'll tell you if you promise to let me take the case.
I have a really hard time believing that Snelling would go for this. He believes he can throw us in jail, he personally hates us, and he doesn't respect our work, even though we have solved several relatively high-profile cases.
Out of the question, Fordham. This is a police matter.
And the police haven't made progress in months. Fordham figured it out in a matter of minutes. Admit it, Snelling. Fordham is your best shot at finding the killer. Are you gonna let your personal differences put the people of this city in danger?
Fine. I'll let you continue to operate as an assistant in this case, if you have actually found something of value. Now, what is this link?
He leaves a single Easter lily at each crime scene. The same type of flowers the burglar and the chum was stealing.
I see. A tenuous link, but plausible. I'll give you until tomorrow afternoon. If you haven't come up with anything, I'm throwing you in jail.
Surprisingly lenient, if you ask me, but I'll take what I can get.
Sounds fair to me.
And don't get any clever ideas about leaving town, either.
Yeah, I've been told I should not leave town.
Come now, would I do something like that?
Fordham, it seems there's no telling what you might do. I'm probably a fool for not clapping you in irons right here and now.
Maybe.
When you have something to report, come find me in my office. Don't make me regret this.
Well, that went better than I expected.
I know that's supposed to be, like, really deeply sarcastic, but, like, to be honest, I feel like it did.
Except you're still fired. I didn't have a chance to get him to change his mind.
We'll worry about that after you catch the killer. In the meantime, I could use a drink. I'll see you later, Fordham.
Oh, okay. All right.
Well,
Take
better
luck.
get to work then. Clock is ticking.
Oh, all of a sudden you're talking to me, eh, Bill? God, you suck. I don't know if I've said this before. I do like this game a lot. It's a fun scene. I like that it sets up, like, even higher than normal stakes. Like, it's one thing for the last case to just casually be the serial killer, but I like that, you know, they sort of established earlier, even though it hasn't come up a lot, that, like, Snelling was suspicious that information was being leaked outside of the department, and, you know, he's been investigating that, and he finally figured it out, and then he comes and, like, drops this ultimatum on us. We reload quickly and blame her for everything. Yeah, we got time for that. I feel like I don't mind burning a little bit of time this week so that next week we'll probably finish this case and not have a ton of extra time left over.
Upton?
What is...
Did I look at the... I don't think I looked at them yet.
Ashton?
I don't think I had looked at them when I did the save file.
Whoever drew this was a hack. Oh. I'm really not in the mood to be... Boring. Oh, what?
Could have saved me some time earlier there.
What is...
About those crime scene sketches.
Yes?
I think I found a connection.
I knew you would.
I find it a little hard to believe that if he had, like, all his best detectives working on this, that none of them would have detected the Easter lily thing, because, like, they have a pretty striking shape to them. It's not just, like, you know, there's a lot of types of flowers that if you don't know a lot about flowers, I think look pretty similar to, like, an average Joe. But, like, Easter lilies are not on that list.
There's a single flower.
They're in... You're right.
Wait.
These flowers...
I don't believe it.
What?
The flower. And I did... At the... It seemed...
Excellent.
That's interesting. You update your inventory...
What exactly? What can you tell
Or
me
you
about...
actually start the
No,
case.
What are the...
You can...
Ding, 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 ding.
I should...
Not a...
Right.
Odd.
I wonder if, like, the only difference
She's
between these is
smelling.
going to be that she's, like, super mad at us and kicks us out of the house or something.
Uh-oh.
Upton. Fordham. I should have
The
guessed
music's
I'd
pretty
find
good there,
you
too.
here.
I like that transition. It's, like, just the right amount of dramatic for this confrontation. I'm just going to be a dick in general. Shouldn't you be trying to catch the guy?
Aren't you?
Appropriate that you should bring that up, Fordham. That's precisely why I'm here. Those are some rather interesting decorations. Would either of you care to explain how they got here?
And once again,
So I just want to maximum blame her. So I'm going to say I told her she shouldn't do it rather than just saying that she did it.
I knew it. I told Upton it was wrong to take those sketches.
Fordham! Really?
So you have been passing classified police information to Mr. Fordham,
I never said that, Chief Snelling.
but do you deny it?
No, I don't.
Well,
As I thought. Constance Upton, your employment with the New Britannia Police Department is hereby terminated.
But
I should add that it's only because of your 25 years of dedicated service that I'm not pressing charges against you. But as for you, Fordham, do you have anything?
she did
I
it.
didn't want to get involved. It was Upton who started asking me to look into cases after I resigned.
what?
wow, Miles. I knew you could go low. I never thought you'd go that low.
I really have no idea why these are options. This is so heinous.
Pathetic. I don't know what convinced you to aid this charlatan, Upton, but I hope you've come to your senses.
Yes, I think I have.
At this point, I think I have. I will not be working with Fordham
Miles
anymore.
Fordham, I'm placing you under...
Oh, dang! I did not expect that. That's... Okay.
Miles Fordham in my jail. I have to admit, I always had a feeling this day would come.
Fantastic. And here I thought Riverview was the worst place we could end up. Maybe if the police ever grow a brain between them, they'll catch the justice killer and you two can be neighbors.
Yeah, jail, G-A-O-L, is apparently like an old-timey way to spell the word jail as you know it. I only learned this by watching someone do a playthrough of Elden Ring, and someone in their chat was like, yeah, that's like an old English way to write jail.
In the meantime, you get to spend your days chatting with Giles. Lucky you.
May I help you with something, young lady?
Wait, what's happening now?
Yes, I'm here to see my husband, Miles Fordham.
Wait, what's happening, guys?
Your husband? You really know how to pick 'em, Fordham.
Wait, what does that mean? Do I have to punch this guy?
Shut your mouth, Giles.
Hey now, a little respect for your jailkeeper. Go ahead and speak to him, but don't take too long. 5 minutes and then on your way.
How did you get into this mess?
I don't think I can tell it all in 5 minutes. I was trying to catch the man who caused Bill's death, and I ran out of time.
How long are they going to keep you here?
Oh, this is interesting. So this is a stock bad end that applies to the whole case, is what that suggests to me. The way that's phrased is like, I was trying to catch the killer and I ran out of time. Suggests that if I somehow don't find an appropriate lead in the timely fashion, I don't know if the last case is like actually timed, that seems unlikely, but like, if I fail to meet some condition, I think I can end up here later as well.
I don't know, but I have a feeling it might be a very long time.
Well, you'd better believe I'll do all I can to get you out of here.
Time's up. On your way, ma'am.
And I'm willing to bet that if you don't reconcile with Adelaide before this case, then, like, she doesn't come here?
Don't give up, Miles. I love you.
At the very least, like, you get a different scene where you're just... And maybe she just doesn't show up and it, like, fades to black after you're like, uh-oh, I'm here forever.
I love you too, Addie.
Poor Adelaide. She means well, but she won't be able to do a thing. Cheer up, Miles. You may be in jail for the next several years, but at least you won't be alone.
Oh my god, this is a super bad ending, and they're even aware of that. Well, I'll be honest, that's not what I was expecting, yeah, right? Like, that seems like... That's like a way darker ending than I was expecting, and I actually appreciate the fact that the game is, like, upfront about that. They're like... And now you're doomed to spend eternity with Bill. And they're like, oh no, I'd rather die. Well, I really wasn't expecting that to just straight up end the game, but I'm glad we checked that out. That was fun. Also, man, you could be real harsh to Upton there. Yikes. This is extremely dramatic. All the talk about the asylum, I want to see that ending. I mean, I'm concerned that I may have flagged my save file here so that we end up at the asylum. Although the fact that Adelaide showed up to help us in jail, kind of coupled with the fact that the achievement for having that conversation was, like, model husband, I think, like, suggests that that's, like, the good way to restore the relationship. I mean, well, so I don't, oh, I can skip it with escape. Okay. This one. The one where we don't get thrown in prison and lose the case immediately? Okay. I guess we just leave, no, wait, let's read the newspaper. There might be clues in it. Would under fire for alleged cooping scheme? Is that co-oping? Accusations of a pro-Atwood cooping scheme have emerged. Allegedly, they hired men to find unsuspecting victims, ply them with alcohol, and then force them to vote multiple times in disguise in order to increase Atwood's chances of re-election. But Atwood was the progressive candidate. So Leroy staged, like, a massive electoral scandal, and then, actually, that's, like, actually kind of clever. It is cooping. Now I'm learning stuff. I've never seen that word used in that context. But so, like, basically what this is suggesting is that, like, because Leroy had actually staged a scandal of this nature when he took office, he knew where all the evidence would be to indicate that there was a scandal, and then just suggested that Atwood was trying to win. Which seems very suspicious even under those circumstances. Were kept in a small room referred to as a coop. Ah, I see. And forced to change clothes several times in order to vote repeatedly. But we had to show an ID of some kind when we voted as a character. They served their purpose. They were left in back alleys, dazed and confused. Not enough to secure Atwood's victory. That's so shady. And then here's our additional recap of that. Ronan Lispey, employee of Gripsome Taxidermy Shop, was murdered outside the Silent Raven pub in Cholmondeley on election night. According to New Britannia Police, the person responsible was Tom Puffin, choirmaster at the cathedral. According to an unconfirmed source, Puffin mistook Lispey for his nephew, whom he had planned on killing, and accidentally murdered Lispey instead. He was allegedly under the influence of opium. He was arrested on charge of murder in the second degree and set to stand trial in November. He was described by his sister as full of life and an avid fan of books and travel, although Lispey himself apparently never left Vespuccia. Contributions to pay for his funeral expenses are being accepted. I wonder if I had done this, would this then reference this? Oh no, Gascon spiritualist arrested for fraud. Angela Maxwell, leader of the spiritualist group known as Gascon, known as the Spectre Society, was arrested yesterday on charges of fraud after an extensive undercover operation by New Britannia Police Department discovered she was exploiting her clients and robbing them of money. Detective Lester Barnett attended several meetings under an assumed name, during which he observed Miss Maxwell's ruse. She would claim her client was cursed, then offer healing services for a fee. The clients would then pay an exorbitant amount of money over a period of time to be cured. A representative of the New Britannia Police offered this warning. We urge the public to be extremely wary of anyone claiming to be able to communicate with spirits or deceased loved ones. In reality, they often just prey on grief-stricken and vulnerable. Gulp. I wonder about this. It's entirely possible that she was doing something like that, but Angela Maxwell as a character struck me as, like, pretty sincere. she certainly didn't try anything even like remotely like that with us. And maybe that's because we met the character under the circumstances where we had sort of like proven some connection, so she like didn't want to prey on us. But like she didn't seem like a grifter in that way to me. Certainly not based on our experience, but maybe again she just treated us differently. It's hard to say. That's kind of sad. I liked her. But it is interesting that they throw that in this, what I presume to be like the last newspaper of the game. The mood around New Britannia is one of caution and fear, especially in Chamandombly. 4 victims have so far been claimed by the so-called justice killer with no apparent motive or link between them. That's what makes it so frightening, says a resident, Simon Banks. You have no idea who's going to be next. It's gotten to the point where I stopped sweeping chimneys before sundown. When reached for comment, the New Britannia police offered no new information but encouraged citizens to remain vigilant and avoid answering their doors for strangers. Rumors of a nightly curfew have been swirling, but no confirmation has been given. Anyone with information regarding the identity of the killer is strongly encouraged to not get arrested. Okay. I guess I'll leave now. I guess I am allowed to go to the crime scene.
Fordham, what brings you to this delightful spectacle?
I like this weird guy. This game has really interesting characters.
Hello, Edwards. I'm investigating the justice killer.
I heard an officer mention new orders from Snelling, but I thought he was just pulling my leg.
Although, in fairness, this game also has Bill, who's like the opposite of an interesting character.
Feel free to have a look around. I'm just writing up the notes from my initial examination of the body, so I'll be happy to share my findings.
Good. I'll just get started then.
Bunch of loose paper that I guess I can't interact with. Let me check his
Nothing but a
drawers.
bunch of boring documents. You'd think he could have at least been considerate enough to keep something scandalous in here.
Like pantsu?
Looks pretty fresh. I wonder what the killer uses to write with.
We were told that it was blood. We were told that it was his blood. The blood of the victim. The victim's blood. The blood specifically chosen from the victim to write justice on the floor. That blood.
The former Percival McDonough, being a good politician.
Get it? Because the only good politician is murdered by the justice killer? October.
Nothing has been written in yet for next month. Curious. Odd. The page for this month has been torn out. You suppose Edwards might know anything about that?
Seems like the killer might have taken it. Possibly. I think he meant what he spread the blood with. I don't know. Bill's kind of an idiot. I don't want to give him credit for that.
The former Percival
Not a lot to look at around here, huh?
Leave it to a politician to hang a portrait of himself in his own office. History books and political theory. I might die of boredom. Again.
That implies that you died of boredom the first time. Which I'm pretty sure is inaccurate.
No signs of forced entry that I can see. The murderer didn't come in through this window.
Can I hang on? Because in, like, the prologue case in the florist shop, didn't look like there was forced entry, but then there was some, like, goofy tool to hack the door open. Okay, I mean, I guess I just talked to him.
Of course. What's on your mind?
So, what was found at the crime scene?
A dead body.
Nice.
Edwards.
Hey, just trying to lighten the mood a bit. Anyway, there was also the word justice written in blood, as you can see on the floor there.
Okay, wasn't born yesterday. Let's get to whatever's, like, actually relevant here.
Is that all?
What more do you need? All the pieces are in place. This is the work of the justice killer.
Okay, that's not... Hey, my guy! That's not the question. We're trying to figure out the identity of the justice killer. I think it's reasonably safe to say that that's true based on what we've seen here. We could later learn that something here was staged or forged or what have you. Fair enough. But I'm willing to accept that as given for the time being. However, it doesn't complete our task here, my guy.
What did your examination of the body turn up?
Apparent cause of death was a single gunshot to the head, exactly like all the other victims. The bullet is still lodged in his brain. I'll remove it once I transport the body back to the mortuary.
Oh no, there's no flower here. I've looked at everything and there's no flower. It is staged, but then...
Anything else?
No personal effects of note, just a folded up piece of paper in his breast pocket.
Does it say I owe you one Easter lily?
It's blank, so the police weren't interested. I assume you aren't either.
No, I want that.
Never assume, Edwards. I'll take it if you don't mind.
There was another one of these cases, it might have been the last one, where we found like a journal with nothing written in it, and I was like very suspicious that it could be like a coded message in it. Justice, killer, justice, just ice, all ice, Alice! Demolition is peak detective. That's very good mystery solving there. Now, if only there was a way that you could have somehow entangled that back into like a rhyming A-set couplet, like then you'd be like 22 out of 10.
Be my guest.
Sweet, I got blank paper. I'm so proud of me.
Did the police manage to learn anything during their investigation?
Not much beyond what I've already told you. I think they were planning on speaking to the victim's wife, though.
Did you get the address?
I did, as a matter of fact. 1820 Kent Place.
Now we get to deal with the grieving widow. Hopefully the officers who delivered the news got the worst of it.
Man, I'm gonna have a huge inventory for this one. Maybe I don't finish this in 1 week.
What's your take on this whole justice killer situation?
He kills people, is the answer I expect based on the way he's been acting during this exchange.
It's giving me a lot of extra work, let me tell you. We haven't had a serial murderer in a long time. Not since that fellow who was poisoning people about 10 years ago.
Okay, that line means one of two things. One, we're leaving the door open for some inane prequel opportunity. Or two, this is a Phoenix Wright game, and that case from 10 years ago is inexplicably crucial to whatever we're looking at right now.
Ah, yes. The Gascon Ghoul. Now, there was a case.
Any theories or insights regarding the killer's motive or identity?
That's not really my specialty.
Yeah, I sort of noticed that, huh?
If you want to get into that psychology stuff, you're better off talking to someone like Snelling.
Am I better off talking to Snelling under virtually any circumstance? Which says, justice killer, truth, justice, American way. Killer must be Superman. But really, a story where Superman's a serial killer and Batman has to catch him would be amazing. That sounds more like something that, like, The Boys would do. Or maybe, like, Invincible. Than, like, an actual, like, Superman product. You could do it. I'm already pretty skeptical of, like, DC just, like, handling Superman in general, to be entirely honest with you. Like, look, here's my hot take, and you may have heard me say it before, but, like, to me, Smallville is, like, one of the only, like, Superman properties I've seen that, like, really gets what makes Superman interesting. Which isn't to say that, like, Smallville was great, even though I liked Smallville. But, like, one of the reasons that I liked Smallville is that because it was kind of like a CW-style teen drama before the CW literally existed, it was all about his, like, relationships with, like, friends and parents and things. So it, like, grounded Superman as a character as, like, being human. And, you know, like, it helped a little bit that because he was relatively young that he didn't have all his powers to start with. And so, like, there's some amount of, like, coming of age, like, human related stories and stuff like that. But, like, he felt like not completely indestructible, but like even in the later seasons when he becomes like more and more powerful and like learns to use his powers better and things like that, like it's still about his humanity. Like stuff like the recent like DC cinematic universe movies, like it's all grimdark. It's like Man of Steel and Henry Cavill as Superman. It's all, oh, like, the world is bad and I will just punch things and I will break, like, the world will be broken. And it's like, no, like, Superman is supposed to be, like, the Boy Scout. He's supposed to be, like, an unrelenting force of good. Like, he's, like, one of the only characters that you, like, absolutely can't make dark and have him be interesting over a sustained period of time. Like, you could do a short-form story like what you described, Demolition, where, like, it's like one character, like one story arc where, you know, Batman and or the Justice League are like trying to stop Superman as like a serial killer or something like that. But like you couldn't do like an 8-season TV series where like evil Superman exists, because like it just doesn't make sense. Now, like, The Boys sort of makes an exception of that because The Boys has an evil Superman analog, but its whole purpose is, like, deconstructing, like, the structure of our society by, like, making superheroes an analog for, like, authority and people in power. And so it's like, this is what happens when a person with authority runs amok. It's not, like, literally just like, oh man, superhero drama. It's like, this is what happens when, like, you don't keep society in check, and it's scary! Haggis says, yes, Zack Snyder doesn't really like superheroes, so I've heard. Yeah, that tracks! Have you seen a Zack Snyder hero movie? They track like he doesn't know what the heck he's talking about. And I agree with you. Also, stop giving franchises to people who don't like the series. Like, Witcher, like, I don't have a horse in the Witcher race, but, like, everything I've heard about, like, the creative team working on Witcher sounds dreadful. Like, Henry Cavill started working on that. Like, listen, I don't like the Henry Cavill Superman movies, but that's because they're handling Superman bad. I think Henry Cavill's cool. And so, like, I think it's cool that he, like, wanted to work as Geralt and, like, was excited to bring his fan knowledge to the portrayal of the character and the series that they were making. And then instead of letting him do that, the people in charge of the show, like, allegedly, like, hate the source material so much that they just, like, don't want it to resemble the books on which, like, all the Witcher stuff is based, and are just doing random nonsense. And then, like, he would make suggestions and they just, like, would ignore him. And it's like, that's so terrible. Like, why are you letting those people do that? That can't be good for your bottom line as the person who holds that intellectual property. That seems completely backwards. Anyway, sorry. Easter Lily.
Did you find an Easter lily anywhere?
An Easter lily?
Just answer the question.
Yes. The Justice Killer leaves one at every crime scene.
Is that right? I never noticed.
Neither did anyone else, apparently.
So how does leaving a lily at the scene of the crime figure into all of this?
I'm still trying to figure that out, but I think it might be important to understanding his motive.
Well, be sure to let me know if you do figure it out. The thought process of killers is a twisted, curious thing.
It would be weird for him to imply that he's interested in that after, like, moments ago saying that he doesn't know anything about psychology. What are your interests?
Does it feel good to be out of the office?
Does it make you feel good?
As long as I have the chance to examine a body and learn something in the process, I don't care where I am.
This is a guy who loves what he does and does what he loves.
Though I do admit a preference to working in my own environment. Fieldwork can be a bit uncertain. There's so much more potential for contamination, especially with those clumsy officers trouncing about groping everything.
Uh-oh. Time to get groping?
Present company excluded, of course.
Edwards, did you notice McDonough's desk calendar?
I did. This month has been torn out. I asked the officers investigating the scene, and they had no idea what happened to it.
So it wasn't found in this room?
That's right. My theory is that the killer took it.
Seems reasonable. I'm not sure what information would be on the calendar that would be relevant, but that seems like something that could definitely happen.
Which means there was probably something incriminating written on it. If only there was some way of knowing what it was.
Gosh. If only we could use, like, the third most common mystery trope, which would be to just rub a pencil on the existing page that we wrote on top of.
What? Have you forgotten the oldest trick in the book? Just find a pencil and you'll have that information in no time.
Edwards, do you have a pencil I might borrow?
Of course. Take this one.
Thank you. That's
the
all for now,
inventory system
Edwards.
in this game is definitely, like, the weirdest thing that it does.
Good luck with your investigation.
But I do really appreciate and respect that it's very internally consistent. Like, maybe almost to a fault, but I like the way it's structured. It's just there's a couple things that are silly about it, but that's also just true of any adventure game, to be honest. They all have those quirks.
A classic trick. Let's see if it works.
Oh, this could be better. Look, what I'll say is that Golf with a Gator could be greater than this. So not a busy month is what I'm gathering from this process. Alright. Like, I get that it's, like, a nuisance to, like, go to the trouble of coding or just making the asset have, like, a bunch of days and coming up with all the days are, but, like, it seems a little absurd to me that a politician had, like, 2 meetings in the month of October. Do I have to, like, release this before the game will let me move on? Does it actually want more shade? Like, I can... Listen, I can get down with the pedantry if you insist. But I do feel as though... I have done it. I feel as though I have done it. Okay. Okay. Hello? Bueller? How much pencil? Do I have to use the whole pencil? Is this task not done until I've, like, used the pencil to the nub?
Aha! McDonough met with this person the night of the murder. I'll bet 500 crowns it's a false name, but at least it's something.
So the night of the murder was the 20... Do we know which night it was? I guess if we're saying night of the murder, it is the 21st, right? Well, I imagine we'll want to investigate Ruby as well. Can I leave? Pencil? Bueller? How do I get out of here? Oh, I need to... Oh, it really...
We'll need to find out who this Ruby is.
It really does want you to just darken those 2 dates, like, to a preposterous degree. Like, if this calendar page was toast, your toaster would have caught fire by the time that this game recognized the print on them. I know it's a mixed metaphor. Don't... Shut up. It's late.
It seems the killer didn't want anyone to know about this meeting with McDonough, and possibly not with Ruby either. It seems the...
Okay.
No time to waste with further conversation.
Okay. There's definitely something suspicious about the lack of Easter Lily. Don't know what to make of that just yet. It is possible that Edwards could be the killer and he leaves the lily behind after the crime, but, like, the lilies are in the crime scene sketches. No. Oh, that's the wife. I thought that was, like, him wearing, like, a parliament wig thing. Whatever.
What? Who are you?
Your valet let me in, maybe, or something. I don't know.
I'm Miles Fordham, private investigator. Your butler just announced me.
Oh, of course. Forgive me. I was just... Well, never mind. Please make yourself comfortable, Mr. Fordham.
Thank you, Mrs. McDonough.
I mean, look at all your stuff.
Just a painting of some boring old aristocrat. Surely this one was called Lady Felicity Euphemia Beaversnatch the Simple. They look expensive, but I bet they're totally worthless. They look expensive, but I bet they're totally worthless. I feel sorry for the sucker who has to clean them. Lord Alfred Edward Shufflebottom the Wise comes to mind when looking at this one. This one looks like a Lady Camilla Prudence Wigglewaddle the Grey. I think I'll call this one Lord Edmund Henry Lickspittle the Elder. They look expensive.
All of these count as the same knick-knack hitbox, despite being in several places on the screen? Fair enough, I guess.
I appreciate you seeing me, Mrs. McDonough.
Yeah,
I know you must be going through a difficult time right now.
Was that extremely lame-running joke not hilarious, Demolition? You were supposed to laugh. About just naming all the royalty, just like weird words he thought of? Lol, so random?
What exactly is it you want from me, Mr. Fordham? I already spoke to the police about my husband's murder.
I'm not the police. The chief of police has made that very clear.
I just have a few questions of my own.
Oh, very well.
This is not what I was expecting that woman to look like, based on her, like, pixel portrait.
What can you tell me about your husband?
He's dead!
I'll tell you the same thing I told the police, Mr. Fordham.
See, you think you're being sassy, but I don't know what you told the police, so, like, you're just answering the question, but, like, wasting time with this additional thing.
Percival was one of the hardest working members of Parliament. He took his job extremely seriously.
Too seriously.
The recent election caused him a terrible amount of consternation, as I'm sure it did most people. He took Atwood's loss rather hard.
Did you see much of him?
I beg your pardon?
Surely someone with such an important position in government could find themselves consumed by their work. Did he spend much time at home?
He made it a point to come home and have dinner with me every night, even if he had to return to the office afterwards.
And did that happen often?
At least 3 or 4 times in a week, yes. He'd stay in his office working late into the night. As I said, he was very dedicated to his role.
Well, it's important to be dedicated to your role. You always need a healer.
Sounds to me like she's quite dedicated to hers, too.
Did your husband have any enemies?
He was a politician, Mr. Fordham. Half the city hated him.
Did he ever receive any kind of threats against his life?
None that I was ever made aware of. I have no idea who could have killed him, let alone who could have gotten into his office to do it.
I don't think that's meant to be suspicious, but the way she said that was like, what? Why would I know anything about that? As though, you know, like she was extremely guilty.
He hadn't told me about any meetings or appointments this week either.
Was it his custom to inform you of his work affairs?
Oh, well, I've always taken an interest in my husband's work. He'd often mention initiatives he was working on or people he was meeting, that sort of thing.
Hey, does anyone else like the fact that he was so busy as a politician that he had to work late like 3 to 4 times a week, but his calendar has 2 appointments for the entire month of October? Or is that just me?
Nothing sensitive or confidential, you understand. Just conversation about his day.
Can you think of any reason why your husband would have been murdered?
Like we got an answer to that already.
Not really. He was a vocal opponent of the construction of the Gascogne-Chumley Bridge, but I hardly think that would have been sufficient reason to drive someone to murder.
Why is that?
Well, it's just a bridge, isn't it? There are plenty of other ways to get to Chumley.
I meant, why was he opposed to it?
That was not clear to me either.
Oh, because the amount of money required to build it is exorbitant. Public funds should be used on roads and buildings that are falling apart. What's the point of having something shiny and new if everything around it is in disrepair?
How are you feeling, Mrs. McDonough?
My husband of 42 years was shot in his office. How do you think I feel?
Relieved, or am I not close?
Tactful as always, Fordham. How do you do it?
My apologies. Perhaps that wasn't the most appropriate question. Is there anything I can do to help?
You can start by finding the monster who murdered Percival.
Do you know anyone named Shackley?
No, I've never heard that name before. Why?
I saw your husband had a meeting scheduled with him shortly before his murder.
That can't be right. He didn't tell me about that. He always told me about his meetings.
It was written on his office calendar, clear as day.
Would we call it clear as day? I guess you could call the contrast between the darkest burnt toast on Earth and the white indentation from the calendar page above clear as day, but the calendar page was missing entirely, so...
As I said, I don't know who that person is. Why wouldn't Percival have told me about their meeting?
Sexy Shackley?
Why indeed.
Are you familiar with someone named Ruby?
I can't say I am. Who is it?
Just a name that's come up in my investigation.
Sounds like the name of a trollop. Or perhaps a dog.
Ooh, or a trollop dog.
Have you heard of the Justice Killer?
That was the name the police mentioned when they told me about Percival's murder. It's absolutely terrifying to think that one sick person could be capable of such evil. Why is he called the Justice Killer? What justice was done by murdering my husband?
I'm afraid I can't answer that right now, Mrs. McDonough, but I intend to find out.
I do intend to find out the valid reason that your husband was killed.
Those are all the questions I have for now, Mrs. McDonough.
All right, Mr. Fordham.
I don't think there's anything else to do here. At least for the time being. Whoop, 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 whoop. I want to talk to Upton. Nope, she's not here. She went to get a drink. What bar does she go to? Interesting that the sketches are still here. Is there something else maybe I'm supposed to get from these? I doubt it. No, that one doesn't fit. Actually, here's something. Is Bill less mad at me now?
Not a very pretty way to go out. I wonder if he was trying to get something from that safe. You have to wonder what the meaning behind this is. The flower certainly brings the room together.
Worth getting his insights even though I doubt they're valuable.
Bloody writing. This killer is one sick individual. Must have been a powerful shot to knock him backwards like that. That flower adds a nice touch to an otherwise drab apartment. Too bad about the body, though. Should have listened to your mother. You should have Whew. Oh, that's not a pretty sight.
It's weird that there's like little like flecks of color on this one that the other ones don't seem to
Way
have.
to ruin a perfectly good wall. I bet that'll take ages to clean up. Interesting place for a flower. The justice killer sure is thorough, you have to give him that. At least this poor slob got to die in bed. Pretty flower.
Fordham, how goes the investigation?
I'm making some headway.
Is that right? I certainly hope so for your sake.
The rumor was always that the chief kept a bottle of something in a secret compartment in this cabinet. The rumor was always that the chief...
Probably just water. I thought that's supposed to be like an indictment of his character.
Ah, Chief Jacobs. Now there was a leader. Every book and file in there is organized to perfection. I'll bet Snelling gets flustered if anything is even a millimeter out of place. You should bump into the side when he's not looking. Every book you should bump...
Interesting that the location for the police department now completely circumvents the main office, but I guess that was mainly a conceit to talk to Upton and to allow me to go to the place where Edwards was. So since neither of them is in their normal place, that makes sense. I'm a little concerned about talking to this guy. I feel like it could just end the case for some reason.
Chief Snelling?
Yes.
Let's ask him about Bill's death. That'll surely get me committed.
Listen, about Leger's death.
I don't want to hear it, Fordham. What happened, happened. Nothing you can say is going to change my opinion on the matter.
And if I manage to find the man responsible?
The man responsible is standing before me. Even if you manage to find the culprit you let escape, it isn't going to bring Leger back from the dead.
Is that how this game ends? We use like voodoo magic to bring him back to life so we get our job back?
But it will bring closure to the matter.
If that thought is what allows you to sleep at night, then so be it.
What makes him think you sleep at night?
What information do you have on the Justice Killer?
This feels like an incredibly stupid question.
Clearly not as much as you.
Oh, I see how this is gonna go.
Well, what do you have?
A list of 5 victims, some information on each of them, and no clear idea what connects them. Until your discovery of the lily at each scene, that was where we stood. While I doubt this discovery will do much to aid in tracking him down, I'm willing to give you the benefit of the doubt.
Do you know anything about Percival McDonough?
He's a member of Parliament. I believe his constituency is somewhere in central Kingsland. From the reports I've gotten, McDonough led a rather unassuming life for a politician. He is, however, the first victim who didn't live in Chumley. Either there's a link we've missed, or the killer is changing his method.
This feels copycat to me, but I can't, like, definitively say that because the main evidence is just that there's no Easter lily here. I actually do want to check something at the crime scene, even though I don't think it's relevant.
Then again, since you seem so confident in your abilities to resolve this matter, I assume you'll provide an explanation.
Count on it. What do you know about the Justice Killer's previous victims?
Only what's in their files. All working men from Chumley. That's the only link.
You didn't look further into their personal lives? Maybe they had some social connection.
As I said, the detectives found nothing. You seem to think you can do better, so I'll leave it up to you.
You have to wonder how much more thorough the department's investigations would have been if the 4 men were all rich like McDonough.
So I see the department is still running like a well-oiled machine.
It is, in fact. But I'm sure Upton has kept you well informed of our activities.
Dude, I've been, like, hanging out in your break room for, like, a week.
Incidentally, the woman accused in the Harris kidnapping is set to testify in court today.
Linda Walker's trial is today? That was fast.
That's curious.
Indeed. Sometimes the wheels of justice grind slowly. Sometimes they spin out of control. She'll be taking the stand within the hour. If you care to hear her for yourself, best get going soon.
That's so weird. Is that relevant? Is that relevant?
Enjoying your new position, Snelling?
Reaping the rewards for years of hard work and dedicated service. A gratifying feeling you'll never be able to experience.
I don't think this guy has a lot of friends.
Oh, I get my gratification in other ways.
I'm sure you do, and I'd honestly rather not know about them.
I need to get back to my investigation.
Yes. Time is not on your side, Fordham.
It's not a lot to go on to start with, but I guess I could go listen to the trial for some reason.
Remind me, Miles, why are we here again? Is this for your own personal satisfaction, or did you expect her to have some useful information?
This is such a good question, but I'm gonna give some leeway to the game here.
Shh. Mrs. Linda Walker, you stand accused of kidnapping Charles Harris. What have you to say in your defense?
I had to see if I could speak with my son Alexander again.
Yes. According to your initial statement, you seem to believe that the Harris child is the reincarnation of your own deceased son.
I really hate when that happens.
All the evidence was there. I thought it had to be him.
And in regards to the execution of your plan, you secretly administered a soporific drug to your friend and the Harris family nanny, Mrs. Henrietta Davis? Is that correct?
Yes. I felt terrible about doing it, but there was no other way.
According to your journal, you used a mixture of chamomile and valerian, instructed by a Samuel, if I'm not mistaken.
Samuel, huh?
Yes. Samuel is a friend of mine. He works at the docks, and he knows all about plants. I asked him what the best combination of herbs would be to put someone in a deep sleep.
So it was your idea, and not his?
Yes, that's right. He only told me about the plants. He's quite the expert. Why, you should see his collection of Easter lilies.
Did she just say what I think she said?
Now then, let's turn our attention to the night in question.
Interesting. This Samuel person might be worth looking into. Although we can't waste time searching the docks with just a first name. I'd make a note of it, just in case it becomes relevant later.
I really should probably take a look at my
enough of
casebook.
this courtroom. Let's get back out there. Time's running out.
Like, it's been updated like many, many times, and I haven't looked at it at all. Find the Justice Killer. All right. It's the first thing on the to-do list, so I should probably start there. Investigate his office at Parliament. Oh, that's not good for me. Speak with Miss McDonough. That's also not good for me. Find out the identity of Ruby. Documents. Ah, okay. I got the police reports on these guys that I can, like, actually read for myself. Victim name, Hannibal Kirkland. Age 32, cause of death, gunshot to the head. Occupation, iron worker at Thorabum Ironworks, Chumambo. Summary, police found Kirkland in his home after his foreman reported Kirkland's absence from work. Apart from the word justice written in blood, nothing unusual was found at the crime scene and no witnesses came forward. Investigation into his personal life and habits revealed nothing of interest. Reggie Willingham, age 47. Cause of death, obvious. Occupation, death cab for cutie. Summary, police found Willingham in his home after a missing persons report was filed by his employer. Crime scene was inspected, but aside from the word justice written on the wall in blood, nothing unusual was found. No witnesses came forward. An investigation into his personal life and habits revealed nothing of interest. Ennis Bowditch, that's another fake name. Age 29, cause of death, you bet. Occupation, construction worker for the bridge. He's found Bowditch in his home after his employer contacted the police. Crime scene showed signs of modus operandi of the so-called justice killer, but no other leads or clues were found. No witnesses came forward. Investigation and questioning of Bowditch's co-workers and former lady friend proved fruitless. Early cause. We heard that name somewhere else, and I can't quite remember when that came up. Age 26, death is the same. Occupation, lamplighter from the Central Lamp Depot in Worcester. Summary. Officer Douglas Parsons discovered cause in his home after a report of a gunshot was made by neighbor Ethel Williamson. Oh, this was one of the things that we could bring up to distract that bad detective who sucks during the spontaneous combustion case. Parsons surveyed the scene and found the word justice written in blood, but no other leads or clues. Investigation into cause's personal life and habits produced no leads or clues. So the thing I was supposed to get to pick one of those cases out was to have read the newspaper and be cognizant of the fact that they were looking for the justice killer and he would be on the lookout for any gunshot, like fatal gunshot wound to the head. That would have been good to know like 5 weeks ago. Iron worker. Abby. I mean, I see some potential connection between the fact that, like, one of them is a worker on the ill-fated bridge and one of them is an iron worker, and the guy who's killed today, like, opposed the bridge construction. There's, like, kind of something to that? Maybe? I don't think so, though. Oh yeah, blank paper. Defendant Percival McDonough's pocket. Can I pencil it? Walker's testimony about Samuel who works at the docks. Right? Oh. Oh, now that I've looked at those files, I have other places to go. Okay. Even though I have some open-ended stuff to do, how are these listed? The first was the Ironworks, I think?
This place sure is big. I wonder if they actually make anything useful. Well, that doesn't look good.
Hey, Foreman.
Excuse me, sir. Are you in charge here?
Unfortunately. Who are you? This area isn't open to the public.
I'm Miles Fordham, and I'm a private investigator looking into the murder of one of your workers.
A private investigator, eh? And maybe you can help me out.
I'll do what I can, but I'll need to ask you some questions, Mr.
Mims. Sanford Mims. Go ahead, but make it snappy.
Hannibal Kirkland.
Can you tell me about Hannibal Kirkland, a former employee here?
Listen, I've got a lot on my mind right now.
I understand, but it's important to my investigation that you tell me what you know about him.
I'm sure it is, but as you can see, I've got a lot to deal with right now.
Oh, I hate this conversation so much. It's very triggering. I can't tell you how many work conversations I've had like this that are like, no, you say you understand, but you're literally just ignoring me.
Well, he's no help. Maybe you can figure out a way to help him help us.
What's going on here?
What happened to your iron mill?
What's it look like? The damn thing went and got blown up.
Was it a malfunction or sabotage?
Was it in disrepair?
Of course not. All my machinery is sound. Checked and serviced regularly. This is the work of those goddamn Redites. I'm sure of it.
Redites.
What makes you certain the explosion was the Redites doing?
Take a look, boy. The whole mill got taken out.
I think someone just tripped. That's my theory.
Even if this had been a mechanical failure, which it wasn't, the explosion would have been contained to a single part of the machine. This couldn't have been anything other than sabotage.
Have you had problems with Redites before?
They've sent anonymous letters, but this is the first time they've actually carried out one of their threats.
Listen, all y'all, it's a sabotage.
You're absolutely sure this was sabotage, then?
Yes. How many times have I got to tell you that? Listen, you said you were an investigator, right? So find out who did this to my machine. If you do, I'll help you out with whatever else you wanted to ask me about.
God, what a miserable person.
Looks like we haven't got much of a choice. He seems pretty upset about his machine.
I'll see what I can do.
Now, there's a part of me that wonders if this game, or at least this case, is made in such a way that if there's a limit to the time that I can spend investigating various leads, and if I try to investigate the sabotage of the mill, then maybe I won't be able to do something important. But for now, I'm just gonna go it's an adventure game and I should try to do all the things.
How long have you been the foreman here?
Sometimes I think it's been too long. Things were so much easier before we got these machines. They keep saying they're supposed to improve our lives, but they've been nothing but trouble.
You sound like a Redite yourself, sir.
I've already had 5 of my best men get mangled by some of them. And then there's these damn fools blowing things up. My hair wasn't this gray 5 years ago, you know. I swear one of these days, I'm just going to pack it all up and retire. Let someone else deal with these damn things.
I'll be going now.
Be careful on your way out.
Completely ruined. Whoever sabotaged this knew what they were doing.
Can I really not take a closer look at it? How am I supposed to do anything meaningful?
This place sure is.
He won't tell me anything about it, and I can't. Oh, I can go to employee area. That's weird. How have I ever gone left to right like that?
Completely.
Still feels like I should be able to interact with this, but whatever.
Hey, that area is for workers only.
My apologies.
Dude, hey, dude. Hey, my guy. Do you remember 5 seconds ago when you were like, I need you to investigate the crime that happened here? Definitely heard that as you sound like a Redite yourself, Serp. You go by Serp? I mean, it was definitely meant to be Sir, and I will clarify that.
Sir?
Sir.
Sir?
What am I supposed to do here? Just nothing? Is the answer nothing? What a pointless interlude. Let me go to a bridge.
Excuse me.
You know, I'm not sure I've paid enough attention to the art in this game. This is a cool scene. I like the way this looks.
Hey, what are you doing here? This is a construction area.
I'm Miles Fordham, a private investigator. I'm looking into the murder of a man who used to work here.
Fordham? You the same man who got Laura Dupre arrested?
Yes.
Yes, that's right.
Ah, good to meet you. I'm Gerard. My sister Amelie used to work as her cook. Would tell me stories about how horrible Dupre was.
Oh. Wait. Really? That's interesting. Literally the cook, huh? It's not even raining. What's happening?
Good to see some justice done for a change.
Glad to be of service. And good to meet you as well, Gerard.
I wonder if is this a situation where if I hadn't done that and I'd gotten... I think it might be possible to implicate someone on the serving staff, maybe even the cook. So if I had done that and I get to this case, is it possible that this guy won't help me at all? Is that a thing?
So you say you looking into a murder? You talking about Bowditch?
Yes, that's right. I had a few questions for you if you...
Nah, should be okay to talk for a few minutes.
Bowditch.
You worked with Ennis Bowditch, right? What can you tell me about him?
Ennis was fun to talk to, always telling stories. Pretty sure most of them were made up. But it made time go by faster while we worked, and he made me laugh. We weren't really friends, but it's duller without him around, you know?
Do you know what Bowditch did on his off time?
Not really. I only saw him on the job. But I know he was seeing a woman. I forget what he said her name was, though.
Priscilla?
Did he mention anything else about her?
Oh, sure, but I don't think they're the type of thing that would help you, if you get my meaning.
Right. Anything of a non-personal nature that might help me find her?
Yes, he mentioned she worked as the serving girl at the ruined coffee house.
Oh, great. We can reuse assets. That's helpful.
I see. Thanks. Do you know any details concerning Bowditch's murder?
I only found out when the boss man told us.
He was killed in his home, right? It seemed like everyone was killed at home? Other than this latest guy. Is that right? One of them had a safe, but it still kind of looked to me like it was a dwelling. It's an interesting observation, if I'm actually right about that. It really does seem like there's something off about this one.
Can you think of anyone who might have wanted him dead?
Well, everyone here liked him. I don't think he owed no one money or nothing like that. But maybe someone at his other job wasn't so friendly with him. Who knows?
Did he work as a serving girl at the ruined coffee house?
Other job?
Ennis also worked at the docks as a longshoreman.
At the docks, you say? Where Samuel was?
Well, that would have been handy to know sooner. Better late than never, I guess.
Are you familiar with the Justice Killer?
Justice Killer? No, I don't know anything about that. Who is he?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily expect everyone to read the newspaper in this world. It's mostly just pertaining to my cases and nothing else.
A serial murderer. He's the one who killed Ennis Bowditch.
And you trying to find him?
That's the plan.
Well then, I wish you luck. Ennis didn't deserve to die the way he did. I hope that murdering bastard gets what he deserves.
We'll try. Yeah, how's Emily
How's
doing?
your sister doing?
Good. She still works for the Dupre family, but with that monster Laura gone, she's much happier.
That's nice. Like, the daughter was like a chill person, for the most part. The brother was a little weird, but not, like, terrible.
She tells me the family is acting like the madame never existed, and the husband raised Amelie's pay, too.
Nice.
That does sound like an improvement.
It's just a shame 2 others had to die for it.
Bill, come on, guy!
So, the Gascon-Chumley Bridge is finally being worked on.
That's right. The project started up again shortly after the election. That Leroy, he's not wasting any time. Maybe a good thing for this city and for the country.
I mean, he's like local government, right? He's not like the president.
We'll have to wait and see. How long before the bridge is complete, do you think?
They say it will take 5 years, but who knows?
It is really interesting to me that, like, for some reason, this game invites you to, like, lock in your political preference, and that it continues to, like, color some of the interactions you have with people in a weird way.
As long as the work is steady, you won't find me complaining.
How you doing?
Do you normally work in construction?
Mostly. Sometimes I be doing other jobs here and there. But I'm lucky to have gotten this job. I think it will keep me in work for a long time, which is good because I have 3 mouths to feed at home.
Be sure to watch yourself then. I hear these types of jobs can be dangerous.
Oh, believe me, I know. One slip up and bam, that's the end of you. But I always watch myself.
Watch yourself before you squash yourself.
Would you happen to know anything about the Redites?
I heard some of the other men talking about them, but I don't ask too many questions. Seems to me they just a bunch of angry and confused people with no other way to express themselves and lashing out.
Surprisingly insightful.
I admit I feel sorry for them.
You're not worried about steam tech putting you out of a job?
Nah. Machines can only do so much. You still need a man to make them work or to fix them when they're broke. I think them Redites are just making a big fuss over nothing.
Thank you, Gerard. I appreciate the information.
Not a problem, boss.
Yeah, I like this guy. And it's cool that he, like, relates back to that first case. That's fun.
Save for only 25 men at once. I used to draw the line at 2.
Oh my god, that's a bad joke. That's such a bad joke. Oof. I don't like Bill.
I
This
wonder
case
if
is
it
not
would be any
swaying
fun
me.
to tie yourself to that thing and go for a few spins.
Can I go to the docks? I can go to the docks. I would like to go to the docks. How is there one man at the docks? How is it what the docks are?
Blank surfaces don't stay that way for very long around here.
Huh? What? Who is it?
I'm doing sketch comedy? What? Knock on one door and then the window opens and a guy in like a top hat and like three-piece suit shows up?
Hello, sir. I was wondering if I could ask you a few questions.
Go ahead, but make it quick. Time is money, after all.
You are a complete caricature, my guy.
Did you employ a man named Ennis Bowditch?
I did, yes. He only worked for me occasionally, but he was always punctual and performed his job well. I learned recently that he had been killed. It was a tremendous shame. Workers of his caliber are so hard to come by.
The collar makes you want to die. Yeah, it's pretty unpleasant to think about wearing that, huh?
Do you have any information relating to Mr. Bowditch's murder?
I'm afraid not. The truth is, I knew very little about him. It's the same with most of my men. I have a business to run, you see. It affords me very little time to socialize.
Also, it's very difficult to speak with my neck constrained, as you can see.
Are you familiar with the Justice Killer?
I know him personally. I've invited him to dinner at my home several times.
I believe I saw a headline in the newspaper recently mentioning that name, but I dismissed it as fear-mongering nonsense.
That's pretty natural.
There are more important things I need to worry about.
But the Justice Killer is directly responsible for the death of one of your workers.
Oh? Is that right? Well, there's nothing I can do about it. What my men get up to in their off time is none of my business.
Unless they die. Haven't we established that?
Wow, this guy is even worse than you, Miles.
What does your work here involve?
I'm in charge of tracking and cataloging all the cargo that passes through here. I receive the shipping manifests and make sure that things get unloaded and sent to the right places.
And you do all this by yourself?
Oh, of course not. I'm in charge of administration. A team of workers does all the heavy lifting.
Thank you for your time. I'll let you return to work.
Right you are.
So I can't ask that guy about Samuel, huh? What about this guy? Whose name I apparently instinctively know by looking at him as though
Is that you?
Oh, wait, is Trevor Hastings the assistant from the flower shop? Is that who that is?
Why, Detective Fordham. Fancy seeing you again. What brings you down to the docks?
I'm trying to track down a serial murderer, who I believe is the same man who was breaking into the flower shop.
Yeah.
You don't say. I wish I could help you, but the guy never came back after the night you and your partner came around. Where is your partner anyway?
Like dead or spiritually bound to my insides or something?
Oh, he's around.
Well, give him my regards. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to get this crate back, or Cecilia will have my head on a platter.
Of course. Good seeing you again.
He's around? That's probably the most clever thing you've said in months. Well done.
It might be a little pandery, but I kind of like that in this case, which I, again, presume is probably the last one in the game, that you can, like, run into characters with ties to previous cases, and they'll give you little updates on how things went after you resolve stuff. That's fun. This background is interesting. It honestly looks like it could be the art for, like, a magic card. The like, smokestacks leading up to, like, a green-tinted sky. Looks like something off of Mirrodin.
Ah, the chum. You can never truly get away from it as much as you may try. This sign could use a fresh coat of paint.
Not a lot of information so far. I was really hoping to get something more from the docks. Guess I can go to the coffee house and follow up on the lead. What's the guy's name? Edmund Tuddlington? That's not even a little correct. Bowditch. I guess you're the one? Hello, serving girl.
Begging your pardon, miss.
How can I help you, sir?
I understand you were involved with Ennis Bowditch.
Was involved, yes. I haven't spoken to him in nearly 2 months.
Now, I'm gonna take a bold stance here and say I find it hard to believe that this woman is successfully working at this establishment, mostly because it is one of the noisier environments in the game for some inexplicable reason, because there's only ever like 2 to 3 people here and they don't appear to be making that much noise. But her manner of speaking is like, "Yes, sir, that is correct." And it's like, and she's like a mouse trying not to disturb like a moment of silence at church.
Oh, were you not aware of his death then?
What? Ennis is dead?
Like, is it possible to be more soft-spoken than this? I think this is the quietest a human being can manage to be while still actually making enough noise to communicate.
Well, this is awkward.
Indeed. I'm sorry to have to be the bearer of bad news.
How did it happen?
Oh, now we're speaking.
I'm afraid he was murdered.
Murdered? By who? And why?
Those are exactly the questions I'm trying to answer myself.
Oh, I see. Are you a detective?
Basically.
A private investigator, yes.
Well, I'll answer what I can, if it helps any.
I'm certain it will. What was your relationship with Mr. Bowditch like?
Oh, well, it was nice at first. He was a proper gentleman-like. But then something changed.
The Fire Nation attack?
Oh?
It's like I told Ruby. I think he might have got hit on the head at work, because he seemed to be a completely different person.
Tell me many facts about Ruby! Oh, she's definitely quieter than the glass being stirred. This is why I have no ability to believe that she works here. It's like, people like come up to make an order and she'll be like... And they're like, what are you supposed to... What's your takeaway from that?
He'd get angry for no reason. Well, that bit's not important. At first, I thought he was just going through some rough times, but after a while I realized he'd changed for the worse. So, I broke things off. He wasn't too happy about it, but I wasn't going to stick with a man like that.
Yeah, that's all fine and good. Ruby?
This friend of yours, Ruby. Did she know an MP named Percival McDonough?
I'm not sure. Ruby knows a lot of men.
Is there a subtext to that I'm supposed to understand?
Is that so?
Well, no, I don't mean... It's just... Oh, damn it all, me and my big mouth. She'll have my guts for garters now.
It's all right. No one's in trouble. But I think I'd like to speak with Ruby. Could you tell me where I can find her?
No. You see, she moves around quite a lot. Never in the same place for more than a night or two.
I'm going to solicit a lady of the night in order to solve this case.
Right. I think she's given us a clear picture of what Ruby does for a living. Normally, I'd be all for pressing this girl more until she cracks, but I like her. I think we'll be able to find Ruby without causing her more discomfort.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, indeed.
Well, thank you for the information. You've been very helpful.
Let's just say that Ruby doesn't need a map to get to Bone Town. Are we all clear on that?
Are you familiar with the Justice Killer?
Justice Killer? Is that some kind of pesticide?
Nah.
No, it isn't. Never mind. You've been working here for quite a while, haven't you?
I have, yes. Coming up on 3 years. Been a real pleasure getting to know all the regulars. They've come to be sort of like a second family. By the way, whatever happened with you and your lady friend?
Oh, that's a fun detail. So she noticed that we were coming here with Upton for a while and then stopped.
I beg your pardon?
Well, that nice lady you met in here a couple of times. Did it work out between the two of you?
Well, I've been staying at her apartment, if that answers your question in an unhelpfully indirect way.
Oh, that? No, that was strictly business.
Right. Well, if you see her, tell her I said hello.
I'll let you get back to work.
Thank you, sir.
That's fun. I appreciate the attention to detail that this game exhibits in many ways. Alright. I'm supposed to be able to find another way to find Ruby, but now that I know who Ruby is, it's probably more likely that I can accomplish that. Let's do the cab place, and then maybe call it a stream, maybe?
Remember, a black eye is not a badge of honor. Anyone picking a fight will be dismissed immediately.
That's much too loud of a sound effect.
Well, that's hardly any fun, is it?
That, like, really shouldn't be that loud.
Good evening.
Oh, it's you again. Small world.
Oh, wait, why are you here?
Indeed. Mr. Shaw, was it?
That's right. So, what brings you around to the cab depot?
I wanted to ask you some questions if you can spare some time.
Shouldn't be a problem.
I legitimately don't remember. Did this guy tell us he worked at a cab company? Maybe he did. I don't remember. I was really focused on trying to end that case by the time I got around to meeting this guy. Reggie.
Did you know Reggie Willingham?
Reggie? Sure, I knew him. Well, just as rather I didn't.
Oh? Why do you say that?
The man was a bore, a scoundrel, a no-good bounder.
I wish he would tell us how he really felt.
Only reason they kept him on here was because he was a good driver.
I mean, that's probably why.
So it's fair to say you didn't like him?
Nobody did. When I heard he'd been killed, it wasn't exactly a surprise. If I treated people the way he did, I'd surely have a lot of enemies.
Could you elaborate a bit on Mr. Willingham's behavior?
Oh, he was a proud one. Thought he was God's gift to mankind. Always strutting around, bragging about how many gratuities he'd earned or how many fist fights he'd won against drivers from Phillips. He had the shortest fuse I've ever seen, too. Just looking at him the wrong way could set him off. I'd always laugh to myself when he'd brag about how many women he'd had in a week.
Why is that?
Because it was obvious he had to pay for the pleasure. A man like that isn't going to get a woman otherwise.
Is this a link to Ruby?
I may not be a hit with the ladies, but even I know that being a bastard is a surefire way to drive them off.
Now, hang on. I don't want to be indelicate, but sometimes people are into that. Hey, Arcadius, welcome to the stream. Yeah, I mean, time is a construct or whatever. I barely know what time it is most days, but I hope you're having a good day.
Are you familiar with the so-called Justice Killer?
I've heard a few rumors here and there about some murders in the Chum, but I haven't paid them much attention. There's plenty for me to worry about in my own life.
Fair enough.
Aren't you concerned for your safety?
Not really. Well, I haven't done anything wrong. So if this loony's going around doing justice, nothing for me to worry about.
He makes a good point. I think we need to get a better idea of what exactly these victims did to incur the wrath of our killer.
Did that need to be explained to anyone? I've been curious about that the whole time. To go back to work tomorrow and to celebrate, they give you an extra 2 hours on your shift. I mean, at least you're getting paid, I guess. I don't know. I'm never sure how... Like, I haven't worked a lot of jobs that have, like, flexible schedules in that particular way, where, like, you don't necessarily know how long your shift is. Did that back in my quick service restaurant days, but not much since. Sometimes I'll make the assumption of, like, oh, like, it's like, say you have to work a long shift, and people are like, nah, I want the money. It's like the holidays, so... I assume by context clues that that's not the case here, and if so, I'm sorry. Otherwise, good for you. This place, we're here.
What can you tell me about Coulson Cabs?
Not a bad place, really. Only problem is the number of people always coming here for work.
That's odd.
Lots of folks think driving a cab is an easy job that anyone can do, but that's not the case. You need to know this city like the back of your hand. And it helps to know how to drive.
So, like, here's where we would come if we need to find someone who has knowledge of the streets or something? Working 10 hours. That's a long day for sure. Sorry about that.
So we get lots of fellas starting here who don't have the slightest clue what they're doing. They don't last long.
What about the automated cabs? Are those a problem for you?
I prefer not to think about those. Coulson has said he's got no plans to replace his fleet, so... It's all that matters to me.
Now, see, sometimes your boss says that, and then you get laid off anyway.
Are you still living in Pumblechook Place?
I am, sir. Things are more or less the same, except Roger's not around anymore. Suppose he must have moved on.
Yeah, he must have. Must have moved on.
Hope he isn't planning on coming back, because his paintings made for great kindling.
I think you're supposed to, like, enjoy that, like, rather than the fact that his art got destroyed because, like, he was like a shady murderer.
Oh, I have a feeling he won't be. Have you had any trouble from the Redites?
No, sir. They got no reason to give us any trouble. What with us still using horse-drawn cabs? I imagine the fellas over at Phillips have, but I can't be certain. We don't deal with those a lot if we can help it.
I don't think interviewing anyone from Phillips would be a good use of our time. Our priority is finding the Justice Killer, after all.
Does that need to be spelled out again?
I appreciate your time, sir.
Pleasure's all mine.
Now he's gonna hammer again. Ah, jeez.
I thought about a career as a mechanic once. Glad I chose police work. Way less messy.
Matter of opinion, I suppose. This is such a bad place. Really not a lot to look at, huh? Guess I can look at the
good old
cab.
reliable, handsome cab. Nothing fancy, just gets you from point A to point B. The way it should be.
Am I missing one? The ironworks where I can't really do anything. The bridge I think I've pretty much exhausted. The docks, which I really didn't get anything from. I learned a little bit about Ruby from the coffee shop. Oh, I haven't done the lamp depot. My cursor's on it, and I'm just like assuming I've done it. Judging by how he's hammering, I'm not sure he's actually fixing anything. I would not be surprised to learn that. No. I'll go to the depot.
You there! What are you doing?
Remember, safety first. Wear your goggles. Hopefully the goggles do something.
I'm Miles Fordham. I'm trying to find out about...
No time for that now! Get in here and shield your eyes!
What was the direction this actor was given?
I beg your pardon?
Just do it!
What's going on exactly?
Shh! Everything ready, Alex? 3,
We
2,
heard something about an
1,
Alex, didn't we?
Go!
Let it rip.
Amazing! It works! It works!
What works?
Etheric lamps! Our experiment was a success!
Eric? That's not the way I would expect that to be pronounced.
What exactly have we wandered into here, Miles?
Oh, I have control now.
I wouldn't get too close to that thing. It might end up turning you inside out.
Or at least making you sterile.
May I ask you a few questions?
That somehow seems like bizarrely casual, like, hey, you doing anything later?
Of course! What would you like to know?
Forever.
Thanks for a pretty considerable amount of time, especially about that fertility issue. Look at this portrait. Is this best portrait in the game, I wonder? Getting near it would not be the brightest idea. In a manner of speaking, no, but also...
You worked with a man named Burley Cause, is that right?
It's such a fake name, I just can't describe how fake that name is.
Yes, I heard he was killed. Such a senseless tragedy. It's a shame he missed out on our demonstration.
I'm making
he was
him horny.
really interested in etheric technology.
Wasn't he concerned about losing his job to these technological advances?
Yeah, I think he might have gotten horny about that lamp. He was pretty excited about it. I think you're right, Demolition.
He had no reason to. It's been made clear to all the workers that there will always be a place for us, even if our jobs are made obsolete.
But then, how do you guarantee...
Unlike some other places, we take care of our own here at the Lamplight Depot.
How noble. But I'm pretty sure he's full of more hot air than the HMS Lenore.
That dead guy. What's his life like?
Is there anything you know about Mr. Cause's personal life that might be relevant?
Oh, next question.
I know he was married, but I don't believe he had any children. Oh, and he used to talk about his love for fishing.
I'm really sensing that the docks are it. That the docks are somehow the thing that connects us all together. Like, maybe Samuel's the Justice Killer, and he, like, moonlights as a dock worker, or just like trolls the docks for something, and then he finds what he believes to be injustice, and then he does murders or something. I'm really feeling that that's the connection somehow.
Could you give me his home address? Perhaps his wife will be willing to speak with me.
Yes, certainly. He lived at 820 Orchard Avenue, apartment 2A.
I love that everyone has all these like addresses memorized off the top of their head. Like, my boss sent out like Christmas cards this week, and I feel like she had to like technically like go into like our personnel files or something to get that information. Because we all work remotely, so they couldn't do it at like the office. We haven't had an office in like 2 years.
Thank you for the information.
Actually, closer to 3 now. Bing.
Do you know any details about Mr. Cause's murder?
He died! Next question!
Unfortunately, I don't. The police were here asking questions, but they didn't give me many details.
Do you know of anyone who might have wanted him dead?
Not at all. Burley was very friendly, always treated everyone around here with respect. You know, it's sad to think that for all our leaps forward, we're still really just a bunch of savages.
Are you familiar with the Justice Killer?
I've read about it in the newspaper. A horrible business. It makes me wish we could install more street lamps to keep this city safer at night.
Now, I have a serious question for you, my friend. If it's necessary to, like, wear special protective eyewear and avert your gaze from the street lamps, are these a practical solution for the everyday life?
Someday, I hope to realize that dream. Then we'll really deserve to be called Lamplight City.
Roll credits?
You think brighter streets will stop serial murderers?
It's well known that crime rates are lower in Lyon and Worcester, and they have many more street lamps per square mile.
I mean, that's correlation. Is it causation?
I'm sure it has absolutely nothing to do with the amount of wealth in those areas. Has to be all about the lighting.
You know, because Bill doubts it, I suddenly feel like it's a good conclusion to draw.
You mentioned something about etheric lamps?
Yes! Weren't you paying attention to our demonstration?
No.
You have just witnessed history!
Oh, that's nice for me.
What I witnessed was a blinding flash of light.
Exactly! That flash was the result of years of painstaking research and experimentation. It means that not only does ethericity exist, but it can be used as a source of illumination. If these experiments continue to be successful, as I suspect they will, we'll have etheric street lamps before the end of the decade.
So this guy is like the Denzel Crocker of Lamplight City, huh?
Imagine lamps that burn twice as bright, 4 times as long. Oh, this will change everything.
And if it's like anything else we've seen, it'll put a lot of people out of work, too.
With all these promises of technological advancement, have the Redites given you any trouble?
Oh, those tech-fearing dolts. Yes, I'm sorry to say that we've gotten threats from them. They have yet to carry any out, which is unsurprising.
Instead of seeing fairies, he sees detective ghost partners! But does he see our partner? I feel like he would respond to Bill's hilarious goofs and gags.
How so?
Groups like that are all bluster and no backbone.
I've seen some evidence to the contrary.
Is that right? Well, we've seen little beyond threatening letters, and I intend to make sure it stays that way.
You have any of these letters I might have a look at?
Ooh.
Yes, I have one. I'll give it to you before you leave.
Ooh, fun.
What is it you do here exactly?
I love that that's the last question I'm gonna ask him. By the way, like, what?
Oh, several things. This is the main hub of the city's Department of Illumination. It's really just a grandiose way of saying that this is where all affairs related to street lamps and public lighting are taken care of. But, in addition to sending out lamplighters or mechanics to repair damaged lamps, we also do research into new methods of illumination. That's what my personal specialization is. I help develop and test more efficient ways of lighting our streets. I guess you could consider me a modern-day Prometheus. Yes.
Oh, they let him have fun with that.
More like an everyday pretentious.
Thank you. Your
Oh my God,
cooperation is much appreciated.
What a bad counter joke.
Happy to help. Here's that letter you were asking about.
Oh my God, several dings. To the engineers of chaos and destruction. This sounds like we're about to do like a Team Rocket motto. You are working in direct opposition of the natural order of things. These so-called improvements will be the downfall of our society. If you do not cease your unholy experiments, the Redites will be forced to take action. You have been warned. P.F. Chang's. Didn't expect a whole Chinese food restaurant conglomerate to be responsible for regressive technological practices in the steampunk city, but here we go.
Now that's interesting. Whoever wrote this letter signed it with initials. They can't have been so stupid as to make themselves so easily identifiable, can they?
So many things they can do. I'm really excited about this. Don't know what I'm supposed to take away from this, though. It feels useful, but I don't know how.
Too bad you didn't get a chance to read that sign before their little experiment.
No, like I totally did.
It's the bunch of crap they used to build street lamps with. I wouldn't get too close to that thing. So this is where all the lamps in the city come from. I can't believe I never bothered finding out before.
Must be the PF Candle Company. Feeling threatened by the illumination. You think it's PF Chandlers? But the I don't know how much of this game you've caught or paid attention to, Arcadius, but the Redites are this established group of, like, anti-technology people. Like, they think aethericity is, like, this destructive force. And so they just oppose all things aethericity and all experimentation with it. Actually, no, I should figure out what... The location I want to go to is next is, like, the wife of... Cause's wife? Yeah, okay. And I want to save with that name. Little burly wife house. So... Right, I should go back to home, and then be big, and then this. The work you missed a good portion of it. That's fair. If you ever want to catch up, because I've really liked this game a lot. Like, you know, I have, like, little gripes, but this game has done, like, really nothing of, like, major consequence that I have not liked, and has done a ton of things that I find, like, interesting, or innovative, or unique, and, I've really been liking Lamplight City a lot. So, yeah, if you have interest, you know, check it out on YouTube or buy it yourself. Buy it. It's a good game. It's not Orphan of Coast. I don't know if you played Bloodborne. Definitely should stay there. I mean, I'm familiar with Bloodborne to a certain extent, and that name is familiar, but I don't remember what it refers to or why I should be concerned about it. But basically anything in a From Software game is not friendly. Almost no exceptions to that. Yeah, so it is the 10th. That somehow seems both too early and too late to be true, but it is the 10th. So next weekend we'll definitely still be around. So next Saturday we'll be streaming more of this. I don't know if that will give us enough time to finish this case. This might be an extra long one. Makes me consider... I don't know. I'd kind of like to wrap this by the end of the year, but I don't know if that's plausible, even if I, like, repurposed next Friday's stream and did this again. I'll have to think about it. For now, I think the plan is just the same. Yesterday and next Friday, of course, we'll be playing Murder by Numbers, which we picked up again after a several-month hiatus. And I definitely would like to play more of this next Saturday. Same time in both cases, 6 p.m. Pacific. Friday and Saturday, the usual. Before we draw the stream to a close, I invite you to try and locate the secret Squirtle. Somewhere on the couch behind me, I've hidden a Squirtle. If you can see a Squirtle like this pirate hat chap here, he himself is not the secret Squirtle, but he may be hiding top of, or near, or otherwise indicate the location of his hiding secret brother. If you can locate a Squirtle, secret Squirtle, is an omen of good luck for you in the week to come, so I encourage you to take a moment and see if you can find it. Yeah, looking at it again, I feel like the couch turned out pretty well. When I first set it up, I was like, not thrilled, but it's pretty good. Oh no. Neko stuck. How is Neko stuck in ads? I guess her latest gift sub has lapsed. You're just in time for Squirtle if you can outlast the ads. So yeah, at some point I do need to like put together like a like a poll or something. I was trying to like figure out how to like settle on something to stream once we finish these games, probably early in the new year. Hi Neko, you're just in time for Secret Squirtle now that you've endured the ads. We got several good guesses. Do we have one from Neko? I'll try to figure out a good way to choose the next games. I think there's one that's so stand out to me that it should be the next thing to do. But if I had to guess, I'd say we have 2 to maybe 3, but I think 2 more weeks of this, of Lamplight City, and like several weeks. I mean, we're only in case like 3 of 4 in Murder by Numbers. It's so interesting. Multiple guesses for Carlos. Normally people like to hedge. But let's see what we see. Won't be sad, Neko. You can always find the streams on YouTube. I go to a lot of effort to get them on YouTube, so you can watch them. You can watch them if you want. Okay. First guess I saw was Eeyore. What Eeyore's up to? I like that you managed to stay up. Eeyore's hanging out with our friend Reversa Bunny. There we go. Now it's happy. And Charlotte Brontosaurus. Not Squirtle, but very good friends nonetheless. Katie says Vasco's channel is great, and while there, watch Skylanders. It's still there. You can still watch Skylanders. Sometimes I'm sad that Skylanders no longer really exists, but I think I'm in a minority on that. What else do we have? Pusheen. So Pusheen is sitting on top of Big Flareon's tail. So I won't bother unearthing Big Flareon. See, created quite the tower. At the base of it was small Eeyore and the porcupine known as Hans. Katie says, I wonder what happened to the Skylanders franchise. Now, there might be more to the story than this, but my assumption / general understanding is that, like, the market that Skylanders existed in, the Toys to Life model, just kind of, like, fell by the wayside and ceased being profitable enough for them to continue to try and manufacture them and make the games that made them usable. And so they just stopped. Now, it's entirely possible the company just went bankrupt or whatever, but I think it's something along those lines. Because there were other people, like, trying to make games in that space, and, like, no one's doing that anymore. Anyway, no Still There by Pusheen. But I had strongly considered hiding it behind Pusheen twice in a row to try and throw you off. I don't want to do that. Multiple people that Carlos might be hiding a Squirtle. And he is. Nintendo's got it unlocked with Amiibos. Amiibos are like a little different. Like, Amiibos don't really have their own game. Like, Amiibos are kind of a supplementary thing for multiple games. It's different. Like, I agree that there's some similarity, but like I would argue that it's different. Like, strictly speaking, like Toys to Life was like a market sector of like video games that enabled some sort of toy or figure to come to life in video game form. And like amiibos, like for the most part, don't really do that. Like, they interact with games, but it's not like you put the amiibo on the scanner on the Switch and then you play Princess Peach in Breath of the Wild, right? But yes, congratulations. We had my mom, J.M. Platts, Neko, and Haggis. I think that was everyone who guessed behind Carlos. So congratulations. Carlos would like to remind you that you are Clawsome. Also, he would like me to remind you that Lorenzo has been here the whole time, sitting just off camera where you couldn't see him. Secret Lorenzo. That's gonna do it for the week. Like I said, should be normal schedule next week, Friday and Saturday. I think next Saturday might be the last stream of the year. There's a little bit of up in the air at this point, but I think that's probably the case. But thanks to everybody for being here. Thanks for being you, and I hope to see you again soon, whether that's next week or in the new year. I hope you have a good time and stay safe and enjoy your holidays. Until then, have a good night, everybody, or a good super early or whatever time it is.